Oh,
So
that's right. You have to be a music major.
he's got a BA in music. But yeah, right. Price levels and Bernstein. Well, once you develop price levels and inflation, why don't you develop that a little bit more? What he's getting to, I hope, for his benefit, is right. So the rate of increase may be slowing, but you are still feeling the overall increase, and it's still increasing. there's your, there's the translation of Bernstein ism to the real world. Kevin in Las Vegas, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hey, good morning, Amy and Wheaton. How you doing? It's really great to finally call in and talk to you both.
Yeah, Wheaton. I
I love it. I love the nickname. I've been listening to your guys' podcast daily for a little over a year now. It's tough to listen live and call in. I've got a late work schedule and the time difference and everything. But
you dancer? You're in Vegas.
No, I'm not. That would be pretty rough. But my question for you guys, it's about the Stacey Davis Gates 1 hour time slot offer.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously she would never accept that. But how would you guys even go about trying to make that happen? Do you reach out and do they even reply or just not reply at all? Or
well, I tweeted at her about it and in response to her appearance on WVON, and then our producer also reached out to, the phalanx of PR flacks that the Chicago Teachers Union has. Says, here's an offer.
She hasn't blocked you on Twitter?
No, she loves me.
Wow. Oh, she loves Wheaton.
She loves to hate me. She loves to hate me.
She blocked me.
Is there no response whatsoever from anyone on that whole crew? Or because I tell you what, I would pay money to listen to you guys eviscerate her live on the air. I mean, it would be that would be unbelievable.
Yeah,
She's
I don't think
to fire me.
I don't think we've gotten a response. Thanks for the call, Kevin. I don't think we've gotten a response yet. But it's interesting because back in the day, Karen Lewis used to come on with me, at least at WLS. And
she used to come on here at IND, too.
Jesse Sharkey came on a couple of times. But no, they just don't feel the need. I sort of understand it from their perspective. They don't care because they don't have to care because their constituents don't care. And so what's the upside for Stacey Davis Gates to come on and have a conversation? This is why we all exist in silos. It happens somewhat to some conservatives, too. They just want to live in an echo chamber, but that's not me, and that's not this show. And so if I could have all leftist guests on the show, I would do it. That's what I want. I want people to hear the argument side by side, but they don't want that. And there's no upside for them. I mean, Stacey Davis Gates really doesn't want to spend an hour or trying to come up with an hour's worth of material to explain to the public why black students shouldn't be judged by standardized testing because standardized tests are rooted in eugenics and white supremacy. She doesn't really want to have the conversation about no standards because of the racist institutions that existed in this country, like slavery and Jim Crow, of course, from that dot our nation's history. She doesn't need to have that conversation. So she just goes to places like the City Club where she can just offer a diktat to the powers that be and their hangers on, and just to state her position unchallenged. Goes on VON, she gets a caller, maybe like that one lady who called in and said, look, I did well in standardized tests. This is about getting kids the skills they need to succeed and so on and so forth.
Yeah, and she said she wants the same for her kids.
But that just gave Stacey Davis Gates an opportunity to rinse and repeat her white supremacy rap. So once upon a time, we used to, Bob Buckley and John Kenneth Galbraith on Firing Line, I often reference, and even in the days of Crossfire and Capital Gang, but those days are gone. Mainly, not exclusively, but mainly because the left doesn't feel compelled to have to defend themselves.
312. Oh, no, look at it. It's 5:33 already. Where did the time go?
All right, we'll come back and take a couple more of your calls here, a little bit more what Trump had to say in Carolina.
But first, let's stop into that newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
On the way at 5:33, this morning, Columbia University President Minouche Shafik resigning. Shafik has been dealt with major controversy related to anti-Semitism on campus since the attack by Hamas terrorists on Israel, along with protests on campus. Former President Donald Trump laying out his plans for the economy if elected to the White House in November.
We will target everything from car affordability to housing affordability to insurance costs to supply chain issues. We have the worst supply chain we've ever had in the history of the country.
During a rally yesterday in Asheville, North Carolina, Trump saying he'll sign executive orders directing his cabinet to take action to bring down inflation and consumer prices early on in his presidency.
Just so you know, they stopped it, and it was terrible what they did. That's what caused the whole problem in the country. Even with supply chains, I mean, it just caused a problem. And then they said, oh, go back to the Trump plan now. Now they're drilling. But the day after the election, if they win this election, the drilling stops.
He added he'll commit to slashing energy prices within 18 months. Republican vice presidential candidate J.D. Vance will be in western Pennsylvania this morning. He'll speak to veterans. The Ohio senator and Marine Corps veteran will deliver remarks outside of a VFW in Pittsburgh. Hunter Biden hiring a high-profile criminal defense attorney. Mark Garagos will represent Hunter Biden. Garagos has represented Michael Jackson and Scott Peterson, among others. Ceasefire negotiations over the war in Gaza continue today in Qatar amid fears of new fighting in the Middle East.
Ceasefire talks are set to resume in Qatar as the Middle East waits for an agreement. This meeting is largely seen as a high-stakes, last-ditch effort to reach a deal and end the war in Gaza. We do know overnight Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu gave his negotiating team a wider mandate to bring to the table, though analysts remain pessimistic about the possibility of success. From Israel, the heads of intelligence agencies, the Shin Bet and Mossad, will be part of the team, along with a top advisor to the Prime Minister. While the Americans, Egyptians, and Qataris will be there, it's unknown if Hamas will participate.
Fox's Trey Yingst is in the town of Haifa this morning in Israel. Instagram is not doing a good job addressing abusive comments that apparently target female politicians. It's a new study from the Center for Countering Digital Hate. They found that the social media platform failed to act on 90% of abusive comments reported. The founder of famous Amos Cookies has died. Wally Amos was 88. He successfully launched a cookie empire after opening his bakery on Sunset Boulevard in Hollywood in 1975. Family members say he died this week in Hawaii from complications linked to dementia. Arlington Heights fire officials say one person was hurt, 4 others were rescued when a fire broke out Wednesday night in the kitchen of a townhome.
One else injured. We did have a report of several people trapped on the second floor balconies while we were en route. Buffalo Grove Tower 25 was able to throw an extension ladder up, and they did rescue 4 people off the second floor balcony that were stuck on their balcony.
The fire was struck quickly, but the fire chief there saying they're still assessing whether other units badly damaged can have residents getting back into their homes. A man in critical condition this morning after being rescued from Lake Michigan near the 67th Street beach. And just days before the DNC, there are fresh concerns this morning over cybersecurity after a recent report said it found some DNC data and credentials on a dark web hacking service. Cubs lost to Cleveland. White Sox were pounded by the Yankees. The news, a service of Blue Stars Security. Visit online to schedule a free security consultation at bluestarssecuryllc.com. That's bluestarssecuryllc.com. And a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Charlie Kirk believes the rot runs deep.
As we marched through these institutions for many years, I soon realized, one after the other, the rot that our institutions have been experiencing, the infection that is present, the tumor within the once great institutions in Washington, D.C.
The Charlie Kirk Show. Afternoons at 1, right before Sebastian Gorka at 3 on AM 560. The Answer.
Hey, I'm going to let you in on a wireless hack that can cut your cell phone bill in half. Verizon, AT&T, and T-Mobile, they want you to think that unlimited data is fantastic. Well, the fact is, it's not. Pure Talk, my cell phone company, only charges you for data that you need. With just $25 a month, you get unlimited talk, unlimited text, 5 gigs of data, plus mobile hotspot. Just dial pound 250, say the keyword save now, and do it now. You'll save an additional 50% off your first month. Save money, same service with Pure Talk.
The doctor's office that mixed up your files has your Social Security number. The power company that mistakenly cut your service has your payment info and last 3 addresses. Your info is in endless places that could accidentally expose your info to identity theft. That's why LifeLock monitors millions of data points every second. If your identity's stolen, they'll fix it guaranteed or your money back. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code CLAY at LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
Come on with this, people. Move it!
Did you really think you could make that company deliver yourself?
Oh, I cannot handle any more traffic.
You could be getting much more done at your place of business.
I've wasted 45 minutes and now this place is gonna close.
Time is money. Let Quick Delivery Service take on the traffic hassle for you. They'll deliver almost anything, from large pallets of materials to important documents, or both. No forms, no labels, no scanning. Just tell Quick Delivery Service where it's going, they'll pick it up, and get it to your destination quickly. Your cargo delivery is tracked in real time with GPS. Notifications are delivered right to your inbox. Visit QuickDelivery.com. That's QuickDelivery.com. Or you can deliver like this.
Seriously, another train?
Or get your delivery there on time with QuickDelivery.com. Or call 847-534-2244. 847-534-2244.
Don't let a cold, sinus infection, or allergies ruin your day. Breathe easier, sleep better, and feel healthier with Navage. Visit Navage.com, Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, or a store near you.
It's 5:40. Let's get a quick update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Niles, accident. Washington and Church. Bensonville, an accident in the cleanup stages. Bussey and Devon. Tri-State jammed up northbound already this morning. St. Charles up through North Avenue. And south end delays on the inbound Dan Ryan. And then again, you hit the brakes at 35th up through the Chinatown feeder. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Showers and heavy storms on the way for the day. Just to our west right now. High 78. Humid, couple of showers, maybe a thunderstorm. Low 69 overnight. Right now we have light rain in Aurora, light rain in Romeoville, light rain in Lansing. Kind of surrounding Chicago this morning. Clouds at O'Hare, clouds at Midway. We're at 75. Your next news update is at 6. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy talking about Trump and to follow Kamala in North Carolina, pitching their views on matters economics, starting but not concluding with inflation. Trump also sort of had this one-liner moment that...
well, let's see if it sticks.
I don't know.
Is this the new line?
Well,
were you talking about like "Make America Great Again" or "Make America Affordable Again"?
This is a new line that's pulled from an old show.
We're not going to let this incompetent socialist lunatic keep breaking our economy for 4 more years. It'll destroy our country. On Election Day, we're going to tell her that we've had enough, that we can't take it anymore, Kamala. You're doing a horrible job. You were a terrible attorney general. You were a terrible district attorney. You're the worst vice president in history. Kamala, you're fired. Get out of here. Go. Get out of here.
Getting old? I mean, I don't know.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro. And maybe she'll take up when it's Kamala's turn in Carolina. Maybe she'll take up and offer more detailed explanation on her plans for universal basic income. She's a supporter of that. Probably won't hear much about that, much like the 180 she's done and a range of other issues. But she's called more than once for paying UBI-like benefits. And we find out, by the way, as vice president, she cast a deciding vote to create a temporary UBI for parents through a significantly expanded child tax credit in 2021. There's a study out that finds, shockingly, when you pay people not to work, you get less work.
Really?
Participants in a UBI program work nearly 1.5 hours less a week on average, and unemployment rose. Other adults in recipient households reduced their work effort too. Overall, the study that found for every dollar in benefits, total household income, excluding the transfers, fell by at least 21%. So you get paid not to work, and you're worse off for it. Yeah, that sounds like the work product of the central planner. Philip in Blue Island, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer. Speaking of competing ideas side by side.
Thank you. Good morning. I two things real quick. Didn't he write a check for Kamala Harris to be returned, or when she was running to get reelected for was that Attorney General in California? $15,000, either $15,000 or $50,000.
Trump made a donation to Kamala Harris's
did.
campaign for Attorney General, is what you're referencing.
Yes, sir.
Right. Well,
Yeah,
Trump,
that's true. He didn't deny it.
Trump. I mean, he's talked about this quite a bit. That, I mean, he wrote money. He wrote a lot of checks to Chuck Schumer too,
And to Hillary Clinton.
It doesn't mean that they have the same policy agenda. I mean, he was transactional. He was, as a lot of donors are. So he was giving to both sides because he has real estate interests around the country and around the world.
But now he's trying to say she's so terrible.
Oh my God, that was decades ago.
Well, he gave money to a lot of terrible people who, in fact, are terrible. But so that I wouldn't do it. But that's the way he. I mean, again,
when he went to Chelsea Clinton's wedding, people used to be friends.
He's transactional. He's making political donations for business reasons. This is not a foreign concept to you, Philip. Go ahead.
Interesting. Okay, one thing, Amy, the audio you played this morning about a woman. Isn't it true that most women or most Americans, instead of just this black woman, you had to emphasize she's a black woman, are struggling under the economy, I mean, since COVID?
Oh, yeah. I mean, a lot of moms are sacrificing a lot. They're doing things differently. But I didn't point her out, Philip, just because she was a black mom. Because she's real. That's raw emotion. That is somebody who is suffering.
Well,
and that's not the reaction. Wait, hold on. That's not the reaction I thought that the anchors thought that they were going to get when they collectively grabbed a room of Philadelphia voters.
Well, it was actually specifically NBC put together a panel of black voters.
Yeah,
that's where that bite came from.
Great show, y'all.
Okay,
but white people are
Philip.
suffering too, Philip. You're right, and so are Hispanics, and so are Asians.
We all suffer together. That's socialism, or as Tim Walz calls it, neighborliness. Tony, Downers Grove.
Hey, Dan, when Trump says things like we're going to drill like never before, why does he say things like this when the media is just going to go fact check and say, well, we're actually producing more oil than ever before? And it is true that there's less drilling, but there's more oil being produced because of the technology. Mm-hmm. But still, when you say things like this out on the trail, and the media could easily fact check and throw it back in your face, it kind of dampens the message. So I wish he would be more specific. Even when he says you're the worst attorney general. Well, we know, we hear snippets, but when you say these things, when you speak in platitudes, back it up with something, and then follow that up with what you're going to do. And it's just so easy for the media to fact check things and say, well, look, Trump's lying. And even when there's truth in what he's saying, they still spin it. So you have to get out in front of it. And I just don't see that happening.
Well, all right. Thanks for the call, Tony. A couple things. One is, I wish Trump was more precise too with his rhetorical choices, but he's not. And that's not going to change. Number one. Number two, in terms of Kamala being the worst attorney general, worst prosecutor, the George Soros-funded prosecutor zero, he is backing it up in an advertisement.
MS-13 gang member here illegally, robbed a pregnant woman, then released, then executed a San Francisco family, another illegal, arrested, released, then killed this young boy with a sword, illegal immigrant, convicted, released, then violently fractured a woman's skull. Who released every one of them? Liberal DA Kamala Harris. The victim's blood is on her hands.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
So there's
Finally.
there's some backup there on the prosecutor piece, being a non-prosecution prosecutor, sanctuary city, state, country politician. But the other thing about media fact-checking, just to address the other point Tony made, I mean, you cannot worry about media fact-checkers because they're not fact-checkers, they're propagandists, as Tony was sort of getting to. They're going to spin it anyway. Well, right. So I don't worry about what they're going to say because they're never going to say A+. Trump right on the target. Absolutely correct. I mean, the fact checkers have been a part and party to the lies that have been told about Trump, the mischaracterizations of statements he's made from Charlottesville forward. So you just can't worry about that. I mean, there's something else too about Trump's instincts, directionally correct, rhetorically imprecise. Holman Jenkins has a good piece about Kamala Harris's avoidant campaign in the Wall Street Journal. And so, again, the way Trump communicates, wouldn't be my ideal, but that's how he does it. And again, almost a decade after he came down an escalator, we're still talking about him. So I think, and given everything that's been thrown at him, that's pretty impressive staying power, wouldn't you say?
Mm-hmm.
So the Holman Jenkins riff on this, Trump's, constant talking. This has the democratic virtue of allowing voters nearly unlimited access to the head of someone proposing to lead them. When Mr. Trump chirps about stopping wars with a phone call, at least he's chirping about something important that voters can hold him to, deterrence. When he says that the Ukraine war can't continue forever, he's accepting a challenge the Biden administration recognizes but refuses to own. Mr. Trump is shushed and called a sellout whenever he refers to Taiwan's militarily unfavorable geography. In fact, he's letting voters know a secret our friends and adversaries already know. The U.S. won't be putting its surface fleet within range of China's shore-based missiles, where thousands of service personnel could be sent to the bottom in minutes. A war over Taiwan won't be settled in the Taiwan Strait. It won't be limited. It won't be over soon. Presidential campaigns have a twofold purpose. They help acquaint voters with realities as well, in addition to the point he made earlier. But the point about helping acquaint voters with reality. And when Trump riffs like that, again, if he could develop it the way that Holman Jenkins just explained it, that would be even better. But let's give him credit for being directionally correct, pointing people to a reality, and instigating discussions, and compare and contrast that with this cardboard cutout Kamala on the other side. George in Naperville.
Yeah, Dan, I haven't heard any talk on the campaign trail of all the good work they're doing going against going after the rich people and the price gougers out there.
Thanks for the call, George.
That's what she's going to focus on. Federal ban to stop price gouging.
Yeah, price controls.
Price control.
Well, of course, that's the same. I mean,
it sounds great. Yeah,
it's the
we've
same
been
thing.
Here before.
It's the same thing that Biden proposes, the left proposes.
Right.
It's always going to be more government interference. And by the way, there's no such thing as price gouging. Not in a real market economy. There's no such thing. And I don't care if Republicans, try to mau big corporations or Democrats do it. There's no such thing. The worst thing you can do is what she's proposing. The worst, you want to create shortages, have the government get into the business of setting prices. Marvin in Burlington, Wisconsin.
Good morning. I just was thinking as I was listening today, there's always some kind of strings attached to federal dollars in whatever form come to local governments. I would like to hear Trump say, school districts across the country, we're going to have a nationwide school choice program if you want to accept federal dollars. And I think young families with kids who are stuck in bad schools would love that. It's an overwhelming winning subject for Republicans, and he ought to push that. They do it with road aid or bridge aid or whatever they're spending money on. From now on, you want federal dollars accepted in your school districts and help. We're going to have school choice. If you don't have school choice in your district, no federal dollars. And go right over the top of state governments that say no school choice. Just say federal dollars, not state dollars. Federal dollars are not coming until you have school choice.
Yeah, well, I agree. I mean, I think school choice should be more prominent here. It's a way to nationalize a local issue that people don't really distinguish national and local. I mean, yeah, local control, and they know it's their local school. But in terms of federal support, you say, yeah, I'm going to provide federal support for your school. We're going to the Department of Education into basically just a grant funding organization. It'll operate, as close as possible until we can eliminate it altogether, to like the American Federation for Children. It's just going to be distributing grants to schools that have school choice. There are going to be restrictions on the grants in terms of who qualifies to use this federal money, but it's all just scholarship programs. We're gonna, you could run the Department of Education with a staff of a half a dozen if you just turned it into a $50 billion grant funding organization, which is what it should be. It's a simple solution, or it's a simple proposal that Trump could fold into his support for school choice, and it's a nice contrast, again, to Kamala, because the one thing she won't be doing a 180 on is the teachers' unions.
This is The Morning Show. More Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Hi, I'm Ken Mariotti, owner of Woodland Windows and Doors in Roselle. Summer is here, which is the ideal time to let the sunshine in and brighten up the house. Make those rooms that may appear small, dark, or dingy look better and bigger with larger windows or patio doors. Our highly skilled installers can enlarge openings if your space allows. For decades, Woodland has been transforming living spaces with Marvin windows, featuring styles ranging from modern to traditional. Marvin replacement windows and doors can also bring your backyard right into your living space. Ask us about connecting the inside to the outside. Since 1969, our professional services, along with the best products and installation, are why we are proud of our great online reviews. Need new windows now? Buy now, pay later with 0% financing for 18 months. Terms and conditions apply. Visit woodlandwindows.com and schedule an appointment today. That's woodlandwindows.com.
Come on with this, people. Move it!
Did you really think you could make that company deliver yourself?
Oh, I cannot handle any more traffic.
You could be getting much more done at your place of business.
I've wasted 45 minutes and now this place is gonna close.
Time is money. Let Quick Delivery Service take on the traffic hassle for you. They'll deliver almost anything, from large pallets of materials to important documents, or both. No forms, no labels, no scanning. Just tell Quick Delivery Service where it's going, they'll pick it up, and get it to your destination quickly. Your cargo delivery is tracked in real time with GPS. Notifications are delivered right to your inbox. Visit QuickDelivery.com. That's QuickDelivery.com. Or you can deliver like this.
Seriously, another train?
Or get your delivery there on time with QuickDelivery.com. Or call 847-534-2244. 847-534-2244.
I'm worried about Mom. She's having a tough time moving around the house.
Oh, I know. She still thinks she can do everything on her own.
Exactly, but I've been over there every day this week, helping her navigate the stairs, cooking meals, reminding her to take her medicine. I'm always nervous when I leave.
You know what? I admire you for taking care of Mom. But your family needs you too. And what if she slips and falls? A friend recommended the caregivers at Senior Helpers of Naperville Southwest. They service Cook, DuPage, Kane, and Will counties. They guarantee compatibility and they'll conduct a free safety assessment of her home. Plus, they'll provide as little or as much care as Mom needs.
Senior Helpers of Naperville Southwest, offering both hourly and live-in care. Schedule a free assessment today by calling 331-281-0728. That's 331-281-0728. Again, that's 331-281-0728. And tell them AM 560 sent you. Senior Helpers of Naperville Southwest. Senior care, only better.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right. Excuse me. Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
It turns out that the parties responsible for blowing up the Nord Stream pipeline were just mimicking the plot line from Hangover at 6:06.
And later, even the liberal media is getting annoyed. We'll explain. But now let's head into that newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
The very latest on some heavy weather moving into the area, rain and maybe a thunderstorm in our forecast. As Illinois Democrats rally at the state fair, we'll hear from Governor J.B. Pritzker. Apparently, the mayor, Brandon Johnson, is trying to push out the CPS CEO. Riot Fest staying at Douglas Park. A woman is seen on video attacking Frontier Airlines staffers at O'Hare. A Kansas City Chiefs player is offering to pay for stolen chicken wings swiped by a suburban school worker.
Mike Gallagher lays out.
Small business owners, we know tackling your to-do list can sometimes feel like going 12 rounds against a heavyweight champ. Except that heavyweight's gloves are made of something hard, like diamonds. So when a new to-do pops up, you're like, I can't. I'm boxing my diamond boxing glove wearing heavyweight champ of a to-do list. At Progressive, we don't want to make your day any harder. That's why we make it easy with over 30 customizable coverage options, so you can finally land a knockout blow. See if you can save on business insurance in as little as 7 minutes at ProgressiveCommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company. Coverage provided and serviced by affiliated and third-party insurers.
Hey everyone, it's Ted from Consumer Cellular, the guy in the orange sweater, and this is your wake-up call. If you're paying too much for wireless service, you don't have to keep having that nightmare. Consumer Cellular has the same fast, reliable coverage as the leading carriers for up to half the cost. So why keep spending more than you have to? Seriously, wake up and call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com.
Savings based on cost of Consumer Cellular single line 1, 5, and 10 gig data plans with unlimited talk and text compared to lowest cost single line postpaid unlimited talk, text, and data plans offered by T-Mobile and Verizon January 2024.
Attention maintenance coordinators and chief engineers. Welding is a craft requiring highly skilled personnel and specialized equipment. But who do you call when you need welding? Vans Industrial can perform all types of welding at your site or in their shop.
Hi, I'm Dave Van Camp, president of Vans Industrial. As a metal fabricator and installer, welding is a huge part of our business. At Vans, we have trained AWS certified welders, skilled in welding all types of alloys. We can weld carbon steel, stainless steel, brass, and aluminum with a variety of techniques, including MIG, TIG, and stick. We have equipment to reach the farthest parts or the tightest areas of your facility.
Vans uses only the best and safest union-trained mechanics insured at the highest level to perform the job right. Call 833-VANS-IND to schedule your welding project today. That's 833-VANS-IND. Visit vansindustrial.com. That's VANSindustrial.com. Vans Industrial, working safe since 1964.
Hello, this is Franklin Graham. Does it feel like the world is coming apart at the seams? It does to me. What do we do as Christians? Do we just sit back and let it happen, just waiting for Christ to return, and we just sit on our hands? No, we don't do that. He's called us to action. He's called us to take the gospel to the ends of the earth, and that's what we do. As Samaritan's Purse we go, and we go in Jesus' name, whether it's with a truck full of shoebox gifts or an army of volunteers ready to help wherever they can, or whether we fill up one of our cargo planes and respond to the far corners of this earth. Wherever there is a need, we go and we help in Jesus' name. Don't just sit back and wait for Jesus to return. You have one life. Make it count.
You can be a part of taking the gospel to the ends of the earth. To find out more about Samaritan's Purse and how you can be involved, go to SamaritansPurse.org. That's SamaritansPurse.org.
6:03 on AM 560, The Answer. Good morning, everyone. 71 degrees. I'm Mike Scott. Arlington Heights, Fire officials say one person was hurt when 4 were rescued when a blaze broke out in a kitchen of a townhome last night.
No one else injured. We did have a report of several people trapped on the second floor balconies while we were en route. Buffalo Grove Tower 25 was able to throw an extension ladder up, and they did rescue 4 people off the second floor balcony that were stuck on their balcony.
The fire was struck quickly. The fire chief of Arlington Heights saying they're still assessing whether other units badly damaged would allow residents to get back in their homes. Just days before the Democrat National Convention opens in Chicago, there are fresh concerns over cybersecurity after a recent report said it found some DNC data and credentials on a dark web hacking services. During a recent press conference, Deerfield State Rep Bob Morgan said that security must be paramount for the DNC, and even protest cannot be similar to recent incidents that blocked O'Hare.
It crossed the line of someone's free speech to disruption of millions of people at O'Hare Airport, thousands of people.
The family of Sonia Massey and their attorneys are pushing for legislation that would add more regulation and layers to the Pritzker administration's Safety Act. The legislation created by progressive Democrats creates a national database for police officers that would include infractions like DUIs.
When you consider that Sean Grayson had 2 DUI convictions, if Sean Grayson wanted to visit Canada, if he wanted to visit the beautiful cities of Toronto or Montreal, he wouldn't be allowed to do so.
Attorney Ben Crump wants quick action on that legislation.
We want to see your actions. Your actions speak louder than your words.
And in Springfield, Illinois, Democrats are getting fired up for next week's DNC.
When they come here next week from every state in the United States and all of the press from all over the world, you know what they're going to see? They're going to see a state where Democrats deliver.
Governor Pritzker and other Democrats at the state fair yesterday. Republicans rallied today. Mayor Brandon Johnson is attempting to shove out the head of the Chicago Public Schools. The Sun-Times and others report Brandon Johnson's administration is laying the groundwork to push out Pedro Martinez. It comes after Martinez's clash with the mayor's office and the CTU over how to deal with a massive budget deficit. Cubs, a 6-1 loss to Cleveland, while the White Sox were hammered by the Yankees 10-2. The news, a service of Valdecast Windows for the discerning homeowner looking for high-quality and professional-level window replacement service. Contact Valdecast Windows, your award-winning Platinum Elite Pella-certified contractor. Visit Valdecast.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560. .607 on AM 560, The Answer. Let's get a check on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. We'll start this morning on the Edens Expressway, where there are delays as you head to the junction. Kennedy jamming up right now. 31 O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. Delays on the Tri-State northbound between the Reagan I-88 and 290. Traffic, a service of Papa Nicholas Coffee, a Chicagoland tradition for over 5 generations. Choose Papa Nicholas Coffee because great coffee is their family tradition. Online at papanicholas.com. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Now your official Chicagoland weather forecast with Steve Williams.
Lots of clouds, breezy day, humid, not as warm, a shower and a heavy thunderstorm. We could see some flash flooding. High today 78. Clouds and breezy tonight, humid, shower and thunderstorm, low 69. Clouds and sun, straight thunderstorm for tomorrow, humid and warm, the high 86. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Light rain crossing the area, 73 in clouds at O'Hare. Rain at Midway, rain in Aurora, Joliet, Morris, Romeoville, and approaching the lakefront. Your next news update is at 6:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. We now apparently have the real story behind the sabotage of the Nord Stream pipeline. I mean, this for Wall Street Journal reporting here, and it's good reporting. I mean, it's sourced at least. That's the new standard.
Right. They still believe in attribution over there.
It reads like the script from Hangover 4 in terms of how this actually went down. You know, it's a complicated plot involving, dark ops from the Five Eyes. And so, no.
Bradley Cooper have anything to do with it?
In May of 2022, a handful of senior Ukrainian military officers and businessmen had gathered to toast their country's remarkable success in halting the Russian invasion. Buoyed by alcohol and patriotic fervor, somebody suggested destroying the Nord Stream pipeline.
Oh, wait, were they really in Vegas, though, when they came up with this plot?
No.
Okay.
The Ukrainian operation cost around $300,000. It involved a small rented yacht with a 6-member crew, including trained civilian divers. One was a woman whose presence helped create the illusion they were a group of friends on a pleasure cruise. One of the officers involved in the plot said, quoting, "I always laugh when I read media speculation about some huge operation involving secret services, submarines, drones, and satellites. The whole thing was born out of a night of heavy boozing and the iron determination of a handful of people who had the guts to risk their lives for the country." That sounds like something Zach Galifianakis might say at the end of the movie. So they got drunk. They picked up a copy of Andreas Helm's How to Blow Up a Pipeline, and they scraped together a little bit of cash and a few friends, and they blew up the pipeline. It gets better. Ukrainian President Zelensky initially approved the plan, according to one official who participated and 3 people familiar with it. But later, when the CIA learned of it and asked the Ukrainian president to pull the plug, Zelensky ordered a halt, according to these same sources. Zelensky's commander-in-chief, who was leading the effort, forged ahead anyway. Portions of this account, just to put some weight behind it, corroborated by a nearly 2-year German police investigation into the attack, which has obtained evidence including email, mobile, and satellite photo communications, as well as fingerprints and DNA samples from the alleged sabotage team. The German inquiry hasn't directly linked Zelensky to the clandestine operation because that would be embarrassing, wouldn't it? A senior official of the Ukrainian intel service denies the government had anything to do with it, said Zelensky did not approve any implementation of any such plan. In June, Germany's federal prosecutor quietly issued the first arrest warrant in the case for a Ukrainian professional diving instructor for his alleged involvement in the sabotage. The German investigation is now focusing on Zelensky's commander-in-chief and his aides, although they have no evidence that has been presented in court yet. Well, that's going to frost the relationship between Kyiv and, between Ukraine and Western Europe a little bit. I mean, if this, under normal circumstances, this could be seen as an act of aggression that would trigger a NATO response.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. You can also text us on that same line.
Because in case you've forgotten, the natural gas pipelines carried Russian gas to Western Europe, like Germany. Now, yes, they're providing billions of dollars to Kremlin's war machine. That's to Putin and the Kremlin's war machine. Well, that's sort of why Trump said, I don't want you buying Russian gas anymore. We need to, you need to buy American natural gas, not just because of his promotion of our industry, but also because he recognizes that It's a way to defund Russia, defund Putin, at the same time as you improve the situation with America's energy sector and our energy independence. I mean, this is these Keystone Cops operations, and I would include our CIA in that. CIA, if this all checks out, and again, there's some pretty good sourcing on this, it would seem. I mean, these guys hatch a plan.
While they're hammered.
It gets approved by the government. CIA gets wind of it. They try to stop it. Zelensky tries to stop it. Nobody can stop it. They actually are able to execute it. And then we spend months and months on end speculating about the responsible parties and having, of course, conspiracy theories ginned up about it and so forth. It's just really something. Just remember this story when you want to buy into these sort of Rube Goldbergian fairy tales about how these same people are so flawless in executing complicated, layered conspiracies that nobody ever gets wind of to pull off capers that seem unimaginable. No. It's a Shiite show, basically, with everything that the West is involved in. Our government and our good friends in Western Europe. Craig in Mount Greenwood, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hey, good morning, Dan. Thanks for taking my call. Yeah, this is another case of our three-letter agencies, mainly CIA and the others. I mean, all getting together with Steele and that guy Steele, writing another novel, more bulldog to take and like cover.
Wait, you don't. Wait. They're writing it. You don't think this is true?
Yeah, we're another.
So you're dismissing everything that we just talked about. You're dismissing as fiction, despite the sourcing.
Absolutely.
So who's responsible for the Nord Stream pipeline then?
Well, nobody knows for sure and everything like that, but the type of technology and the kind of skill set and everything that's necessary, it would require something like a SEAL team or better.
Apparently, I'm not so sure about that. I'm not an expert in that, but I'm not so sure about that. And thanks for the call, Craig. There's some pretty impressive sourcing on this. There's been a representation in court that's consistent with this sourcing. And by the way, thinking about this, I mean, this is what I'm talking about. Come on, really? So you understand it's against our interests. When I say the regime's interests to have a story like this out, right? This doesn't look good when it turns out that the party that you're providing tens of billions of dollars to prosecute this, to defend themselves, really, against this Russian invasion was the party responsible for blowing up a pipeline that provided natural gas to our allies in Western Europe. We tried to stop it. We couldn't. We either couldn't get to our guy or he couldn't get to his guy after we got to him. Does that make the CIA and this regime look good? No. Robert in Bloomingdale.
Good morning. There's a video of Joe Biden saying that they're going to shut down the pipeline. And a reporter asked Joe Biden how. He goes, we're going to do it. So Joe Biden blew up the pipeline. I don't know who he ordered to blow up the pipeline, but there's a video. You want, I'll send it to you. He said he's going to shut it down. And guess what? It got shut down.
Yeah, thanks for the call.
Well, there's a difference between shutting it down and blowing it up.
Correct. He also said he was going to shut down the Keystone pipeline. You think Biden is the one concocting a scheme to blow up a pipeline? You think he has that sort of ability, frankly? He talks off the cuff. I'm going to do it because I said I'm going to do it. I mean, it's like talking about inflation. It's like talking about any topic.
I know. They make declarative statements with nothing to back it up.
That's press release politics. Right. That's not... I mean, do we take politicians at their word when it's convenient and we don't when it's not convenient? Pick a philosophy, won't you? By the way, well, before I get to that, some other news that was ridiculed. You know, I mean, this is perfect, right? The Schopenhauer, the truth goes through 3 stages. First, it's rejected, then it's openly ridiculed, then it's accepted as a received wisdom. Well, that's what's happening with the Biden Incorporated family and baby boy Hunter. But anyway, I'll get to that in a second. Just one other example, since it's real time, before we get off on more sort of John le Carré spy novels. You saw the Taliban celebrating the 3 years since they took over, since America left and they took back their country, right?
Oh, yeah. And I had a friend look into, because we were talking about that over the weekend, how when we left Vietnam, we destroyed the armored vehicles, the helicopters that were there. We would not let that fall into enemy hands, and obviously that didn't happen here.
The list of equipment left in Afghanistan, in addition to 13 American servicemen and women killed, 12,000 Humvees, 42,000 trucks, 1,000 armed vehicles, 78 planes and helicopters, 350,000 rifles, 16,000 night vision goggles, 160,000 radios, just to surface skim a little bit about it.
Yeah, 200,000 grenades, 3,000 grenade launchers. The list goes on and on and on. But Biden did this. The Biden-Harris administration did this.
Yeah.
And they killed Americans while doing it because they were so careless.
So that catastrophe,
horrible.
That was allegedly months in the planning.
Yeah.
Again, these people that pull off these complicated triple bank shots allegedly, but then you watch them do something out in the open, like plan to withdraw from Afghanistan, and it goes like that. Bang those up against one another, won't you? By the way, Kamala, on that topic.
What?
This is going back to the Kamala vault, which you can't go back to enough. This is
every day we got to go back to.
This is an important to note because of the her campaign's effort to pretend that she's a clean break from the administration she's a part of, but all along the way, she was flacking for whatever the administration was doing. She was taking credit. She was presenting herself as a co-president or the last person Biden talks to on important issues, right? That's how she was. And here's what she said to Dana Bash before the catastrophic withdrawal. Do we have that?
George. Well, while we're looking for it, when I saw this tweet...
yeah.
Okay, no, I'm just saying it's humiliating. And our enemies are laughing at us, and they're having a parade with our military equipment. And eventually, someday, they're going to use that against us. Not to mention all the ammunition that was left behind, too.
Marty, Naperville.
Hey, just getting back to the pipeline thing, everybody knows what happened. They were filming Jaws 15, and that was the way to kill the 15th shark, but they just never released the movie.
Thanks for the call, Marty. Mm-hmm. One other matter. Republican conspiracy theory about a Biden scandal in Ukraine is absolute nonsense, according to a leading anti-corruption activist. This at The Intercept and every other D.C. press corps outlet. The rumor Joe Biden abused his power to protect his son's business interests in Ukraine is absolute nonsense. Fast forward to this week. The New York Times reporting Hunter Biden asked State Department for help securing Burisma project in 2016.
Well, there you go.
Hunter Biden asked the U.S. ambassador to Italy for help regarding an energy project a Ukrainian gas company was pursuing while his father was vice president. Hunter Biden, son of President Joe Biden, you may have heard, baby boy Hunter, the smartest guy Joe Biden knows, wrote a letter to the U.S. ambassador to Italy in 2016 seeking assistance for Burisma, which had been working on a geothermal project in Italy. Prosecutors indicated last week in court papers they want to also introduce evidence at trial. He goes to trial in a few weeks on income tax evasion about Hunter Biden's other business dealings, Biden Inc., including an arrangement with a Romanian businessman who was trying to influence U.S. government policy during Joe Biden's term as vice president. Absolute nonsense. Oh, no, that's true.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer.
Your show keeps me alive during the week. There's nobody I'd rather listen to between 5 and 9 in the morning than you guys.
On AM 560, The Answer.
After 30 years of doing knee and hip replacements, Dr. Mitchell Scheinkup thought there had to be a better way, and that led him to regenerative medicine.
I was one of the first orthopedic surgeons to do it.
Now, after 20 years of successful orthobiologic treatments, lots of clinical data, research, and teaching, Dr. Scheinkup is National Medical Director at QC Kinetics.
They've done an amazing job of becoming the most significant orthobiologic and regenerative medicine practice in the United States. QC is so far ahead of the game in its science, its protocols, its people, its facilities.
So if you have chronic pain from arthritis and you want to avoid drugs and surgery, call the experts in this revolutionary field, QC Kinetics.
To give patients real lasting relief from pain, that's what I live for. That's my mission.
Get your free consultation now. Call QC Kinetics.
Call QC Kinetics, 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. 312-809-5955.
Come on with this, people. Move it!
Did you really think you could make that company deliver yourself?
Oh, I cannot handle any more traffic.
You could be getting much more done at your place of business.
I've wasted 45 minutes and now this place is gonna close.
Time is money. Let Quick Delivery Service take on the traffic hassle for you. They'll deliver almost anything, from large pallets of materials to important documents, or both. No forms, no labels, no scanning. Just tell Quick Delivery Service where it's going, they'll pick it up, and get it to your destination quickly. Your cargo delivery is tracked in real time with GPS. Notifications are delivered right to your inbox. Visit QuickDelivery.com. That's QuickDelivery.com. Or you can deliver like this.
Seriously, another train?
Or get your delivery there on time with QuickDelivery.com. Or call 847-534-2244. 847-534-2244.
Well, I think it's time we ask ourselves if we still know the freedoms that were intended for us by the Founding Fathers. Not too long ago, two friends of mine were talking to a Cuban refugee, a businessman who had escaped from Castro. And in the midst of his story, one of my friends turned to the other and said, "We don't know how lucky we are." And the Cuban stopped and said, "How lucky you are. I had some place to escape to." And in that sentence, he told us the entire story. If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth. And this idea that government is beholden to the people, that it has no other source of power except the sovereign people, is still the newest and the most unique idea in all the long history of man's relation to man.
This moment in American history has been brought to you by Earthworks. Learn more today at earthworksinc.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago. Oh, no, not. Okay. Oh, sorry, I didn't look at the clock.
No, why would you? Getting to Kamala Harris, her statement before the Afghan withdrawal, this is what she said to Dana Bash.
President Biden always said that he wants you to be the last person in the room, particularly for big decisions, just as he was for President Obama. He just made a really big decision, Afghanistan.
Yes.
Were you the last person in the room?
Yes.
And you feel comfortable?
I do.
Assigns ownership of the Afghan withdrawal catastrophe to Kamala, as well as to Joe, as well as to the Joint Chiefs of Staff and our military.
I mean, who the hell thought that that was a good idea? And never forget that image of the locals clinging to that plane while it was flying away. That is a bad, bad look.
And with respect to Russia and Ukraine, again, just to provide a little bit more color on this Wall Street Journal story about the bombing of the Nord Stream pipeline that was apparently done by Ukrainian military and civilians, with the assent of the Zelensky administration, if not Zelensky himself. But Kamala Harris has a handle on that part of the world, Eastern Europe, as well, as she explained when asked to comment on the Ukrainian-Russian conflict.
Ukraine is a country in Europe. It exists next to another country called Russia. Russia is a bigger country. Russia is a powerful country. Russia decided to invade a smaller country called Ukraine. So basically that's wrong.
Now you know why she's so scripted, in case you had forgotten, with the gaslighting that is being attempted by the D.C. press corps. But right, so so she's also very comfortable with the plot to blow up the Nord Stream pipeline. She'll have you know. I'm sure she was last one in the room to make sure that everybody signed off on this scheme.
Well, I think the mainstream media, even the liberal media, is getting a little restless because 26 days now. No, not only not a one-on-one sit-down interview, but not even a press conference.
What's on the vice president's schedule today?
Watch her comms director
Well,
lie.
she's traveling and talking to voters and getting her message out there to the American people.
I don't think she's got any campaign events on the schedule today, does she?
Well, she and Governor Walz have been traveling across the country.
Would it kill you guys to have a press conference? Why hasn't she had a press conference?
Listen, the Vice President and Governor Walz have been busy crisscrossing this country.
Can you commit to a press conference before the end of the month?
We will commit to directly engage with the voters that are actually going to decide this election.
So she's still going to campaign by hiding from the media. And then she can take this up until the convention. Then she'll have 5 days of being safe. And then maybe before Labor Day, Dan, she might do something. I mean, she has 3 weeks down, 12 weeks to go.
Yeah. You understand what the media is doing there, right? Jim Acosta and CNN. Are they getting short with Kamala? Is that what I'm supposed to believe?
No, they just want.
No, they don't. No,
the interview.
No, they don't want. Well, yeah, okay, fine. They want an interview for their own sort of, personal, professional interests. They want you and they want us to focus on whether Kamala has done an interview on CNN, as opposed to, say, Kamala's record. Really? You're going to take your cues on what to focus on from Jim Acosta?
No, I was just saying.
If you do, whoever does it, you've learned absolutely nothing in a decade. Nothing. Not a single thing. Kamala Harris, this is the awareness level of her positions on issues. Why do you think that is? Because so many people get led around by the nose by mouth-breathing news readers on CNN like Jim Acosta. Oh, they're skeptics? Are they getting tough with the Kamala campaign? They're getting a little annoyed? They're holding her feet to the fire? No, they're not. They're running interference, pretending to be the media. So you can pretend that they are the media as well. The duty to pretend that we talked about earlier in the week per Will Riley's book. That's what we do. The survey of 1,200 registered Democrats and independent Biden voters that was done by Media Research Center. The percent that are aware of registered Democrats and independent Biden voters, that Harris would allow death row inmates to vote, 14% are aware. That Harris supported the elimination of private health insurance, 19% are aware. That Harris promoted a fund to bail out violent protesters during the 20 riots, 22% are aware. Harris supported abolishing ICE, 23%. Harris was named the most liberal senator in 2019, 25%. Harris said it should not be considered a crime to enter the U.S. illegally, 26%. Harris co-sponsored the Green New Deal, 27%. Harris never visited a conflict zone on the border as borders are, 28%. Harris supported cutting funding for police, 29%. Harris supported reparations payments to atone for slavery in the United States, 29%. There's not a single one of 10 of the most extremist positions she's taken that more than 30% of registered Democrats and independent Biden voters are aware that she took.
Right.
Why is that? Jim Acosta really gave it to that Kamala staffer. Keep biting down on that hook.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Lining the lineup for the DNC next week's filling in. We'll have some more details, 6:36.
But now let's head into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
6:33 is our time. Rain showers on the way for the area, and Columbia University President Minouche Shafik is resigning this morning. Shafik has dealt with controversy related to anti-Semitism on campus since the attack by Hamas terrorists on Israel. She is now the third Ivy League president to resign in the wake of anti-Semitic attacks and protests on campus. Former President Donald Trump laying out plans for the economy if elected to the White House in November. The president in North Carolina.
When I win the election, we will immediately begin a brand new Trump economic boom. It'll be a boom. We're going to turn this country around so fast.
Ohio Senator and Republican vice presidential candidate J.D. Vance says he is open to debating Minnesota Governor and Democrat VP candidate Tim Walz more than once. After Walz agreed to take part in a proposed CBS News debate, Vance on Fox News says he'll likely be up for that event.
I strongly suspect we're going to be there on October the 1st, but we're not going to do one of these fake debates where they don't actually have an audience there, where they don't actually set the parameters in the right way, where we can have a good exchange of ideas.
Vance is in Ohio today. Senior officials from the U.S. and the Middle East are hoping for a breakthrough today in Gaza ceasefire negotiations. Insiders say maybe a last chance to get a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas terrorists. Actress Jenna Rollins has died in California. She was 94, known best for her role in 1974's A Woman Under Influence. She was also noted for her role in The Notebook. Arlington Heights officials say one person was hurt, 4 were rescued when fire broke out in the kitchen of a townhome Wednesday night. A man in critical condition after being rescued from Lake Michigan just off the beach at 67th Street. A 34-year-old man was pulled from the water and then rushed to the University of Chicago Hospital. Illinois Democrats are getting fired up for next week's DNC.
When they come here next week from every state in the United States and all of the press from all over the world, you know what they're going to see? They're going to see a state where Democrats deliver.
Governor Pritzker and other Democrats rallied yesterday at the state fair in Springfield. Republicans will rally today. And Riot Fest appears to be staying in Chicago after all. Organizers and city officials announcing yesterday that the music festival will remain at Douglas Park over the protest of local residents instead of heading to SeatGeek Stadium in Bridgeview. Park District CEO Rosa Escarino.
If the community feels that this is something that they want and they want to champion this, just like Alderwoman Monique Scott has done, then it's a celebration for the community, and we're more than happy to engage through the process to make sure that the process is ultimately successful.
Organizers blame the Park District for the move. Riot Fest will take place in mid-September. Cubs fell to Cleveland 6-1, while the Southsiders were pounded by the Bronx Bombers 10-2. The News, a service of almostfreeteeth.com. What if you could save on average 90% for dental implants and get 100% of your smile back? With a Blue Cross Blue Shield PPO or FEP, it's possible. Check if you qualify at almostfreeteeth.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Dennis Prager sees another overreach from Biden.
The federal appeals court just blocked President Biden's latest plan to transfer outstanding student loan debt to American taxpayers. These people, the way they lie and distort, the courts say he doesn't have the authority to end student debt.
The Dennis Prager Show. Weekdays at 11, right before Charlie Kirk at 1 on AM 560. The Answer.
Support our police and hire the police to personally protect you.
You've watched the news. Rising crime has been affecting our everyday lives in Illinois more and more these days. Blue Star Security can protect you, your business, or your place of worship. Blue Star Security is the only security company in Chicago with over 900 off-duty police officers, all W-2 employees.
I'm Anthony Varchetto, president of Blue Star Security and a 20-year law enforcement veteran. The Blue Star team is made up of over 900 state-certified active and retired law enforcement professionals. We serve businesses and private organizations with supply chain and special event security, and also protect our loved ones at places of worship and schools all across the Chicagoland area. Blue Star Security's technology allows mobilization of off-duty officers quickly and efficiently. Our primary mission is to provide unparalleled protective services for each assignment with integrity, while maintaining our commitment to community service in the Chicagoland area.
Visit online to schedule a free security consultation at bluestarsecurityllc.com. That's bluestarsecurityllc.com.
Suburban Welding and Steel is your local welding, fabricating, and repair shop where service and quality is number one. Their dedicated team of experts can repair a job on site or in their shop located in Franklin Park. They have the machinery needed to get your project completed with the craftsmanship and precision so you can get back to business. Suburban Welding and Steel Services, more than just the manufacturing industry. They also service the food industry, heavy equipment, trucking, airports, and railroads. Walk-ins are also welcome, so if you need it welded, repaired, fabricated, or modified, Suburban Welding and Steel will do the laser cutting, machining, forming, and plate rolling for you. Or they have the materials you need in stock and ready for the purchase. And if you know a hardworking person looking for a career in the trade, Suburban Welding and Steel is looking to add to their team of experts. Visit suburbanweldingandsteel.com to see the full story on what they can do for you. suburbanweldingandsteel.com.
Don't let a cold, sinus infection, or allergies ruin your day. Breathe easier, sleep better, and feel healthier with Navage. Visit Navage.com, Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, or a store near you.
640. Check of the roads now. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. And this update is a service of Lowe's. When you buy in bulk, save 10%. When you buy one pallet or more of select shingles, because Lowe's knows pros. Selection varies by location while supplies last. Discount taken at time of purchase. See sales associate for any detail. Kennedy in, 1 hour. O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. Roads getting slick with the ongoing rain. 44 in on the Ike. 390 to the old post office. Dan Ryan coming inbound right now, jamming up from 47th into the Chinatown feeder in the locals. And delays this morning as you roll on the Tri-State northbound from Plainfield up through 47. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Showers moving into the area, maybe a heavy thunderstorm, and a high of 78. Currently, light rain over most of the area, 72. Your next news update is at 7. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. It's a star-studded affair that is on deck for Chicago at the New Bolsheviks Party convention next week. In addition to the headliners, well, Jelly Belly, the host, is one of the headliners. He'll be speaking on Tuesday. Jelly Belly, BLM Brandon. Other sources suggest that Dick Durbin, Sack of Durbin, will be there. Tammy Duckworth will speak. Representative Lauren Underwood also confirmed as speakers. So again, Biden Monday, along with Hill Dog. Then Obama and Pritzker, in no particular order of importance, on Tuesday. Wednesday is Bill and Walz. And then Thursday, obviously, that's Kamala's coming out party. And there it is. But that doesn't mean that's all there is with respect to the festivities. there are many, many, many exciting things happening. John Legend is performing at the Salt Shed on Tuesday, and Jelly Belly's better half, MK, will be the host of that.
You mean the new
affair.
improved MK? She's lost a lot of weight. She looks good, Dan. She's looking as good as Michelle Obama right now.
I think Michelle Obama is doing a kissing booth at the DNC. But other things that you'd like to see, 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, and I've got some other, and I have some things you may be unaware of, too, sort of below the fold. Everybody focuses on the speakers and the politicians, but there are other things happening, too. There's, like breakout sessions and workshops.
Yeah. Listen, the former Veep from the show Veep, Julia Louis-Dreyfus, she's doing a female Democratic gubernatorial breakout session at McCormick Place. That's going to be fun.
Connie Britton from Friday Night Lights, she hosted the P-Hats for Kamala Zoom call. She'll be hosting a Shout Your Abortion Slam. That's a breakout session. Megan Thee Stallion.
Oh, what's she doing?
She's hosting a twerking session, teaching conventioneers how to twerk. Shake that moneymaker.
Oldest profession in the book.
Now, that does conflict with the How to Blow Up a Pipeline workshop sponsored by Andreas Halm and those guys from Ukraine. So you're going to have to choose.
Right.
Some of these things are happening at the same time.
Yeah, you have to get hammered before you go into that breakout session. Because, by the way, all the Hollywood A-listers and B-listers were fighting over positions and slots at the DNC. They want to be part of the pageantry.
So other
magic.
Other opportunities, just to get the full experience of being a part of the new Bolshevik Party. Taking Care of Your Butt Baby with Rachel Levine from HHS. She'll have some tips. She will have some tips for you on raising a butt baby. Jelly Belly, I think after the pressure's off, after he delivers his big speech on Tuesday, Pilates by Pritzker. And that's going to be...
Are you reading this from the Babylon Bee?
And that's going to be followed by a Make Your Own Fudge Station with JB. So that should be fun. Traveling Light with Sam Britton.
Oh, hey-oh.
It's a bit of a deeper
good
dig.
one. Yeah.
Paul Pelosi is hosting one of the hospitality suites. Hammers are optional.
Hey-oh.
Bob in Lake Villa, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hey, good morning, Dan and Amy. Hey, I just wanted to say that it is just mind-boggling to me that the polls are so close, and it's very disheartening if they are true, disheartening that the people of this country are going that way. I'm going to the rally in McHenry this weekend, and people are telling me, why would you even waste your time doing that? The Republicans aren't going to take Illinois. You're just wasting your Sunday. And it's scary that that's the way the Republicans are thinking.
Yeah. Thanks for the call, Bob.
I'll be at that event. I'm going.
Yeah, that's all well and good. Michael, Southside.
Morning, Dan. Morning, Amy. Thank you both for taking my call. How about retrospectives by Mel Reynolds and Jesse Jackson Jr.?
Dating tips. Yeah, dating tips from Mel Reynolds, maybe.
How to get them young? Oh, I didn't say that.
Yeah.
No.
Thanks for the call. Maybe some Jesse Jackson Jr. memorabilia.
Oh, that's right. They sell that in the hallway onto the main stage.
Also, too, I don't. This is unfortunate, but this new Bolshevik Party convention is happening as we're experiencing international public health emergency. So I assume, and I certainly hope, there'll be masking required and vaccinations available. Obviously, everybody's aware of the big announcement that Dr. T, Dr. T from the
Tedros.
WHO, yeah, he made the big announcement yesterday. So,
wait, what? No,
safety first, masks, and make sure to get the ouchie.
Today,
The emergency committee met and advised me that, in its view, the situation constitutes a public health emergency of international concern. I have accepted that advice.
What?
The detection and rapid spread of a new clade of mpox in eastern DRC, its detection in neighboring countries that had not previously reported mpox, and the potential for further spread within Africa and beyond is very worrying. In addition to other outbreaks of other clades of mpox in other parts of Africa, it's clear that a coordinated international response is essential to stop these outbreaks and save lives.
So we've got don't call it monkeypox. It's mpox.
Formerly known as monkeypox, because that's what it is, monkeypox. But yes.
So I hope that this is treated with the seriousness that it deserves by the new Bolsheviks. I mean, a lot of COVIDians will be coming to town, and they should know about this. Close skin-to-skin contact is how mpox is transmitted, and I expect there'll be, a lot of that with Mayor Pete hanging around. Pete in Montgomery.
Yeah, I have a great idea for a breakout group, DNC. They should have a basement remodeling seminar with Joe and Kamala. How to go ahead and make sure you have a comfortable space while campaigning.
There you go.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks for the call, Pete. Joe in Naperville.
Yeah, two of them. Bob Menendez on how to store your cash.
Yeah.
And this other one would definitely show the DNC shortcomings. Pritzker in a Speedo and a dunk tank.
Why do you have to do that?
The only dunk tank big enough for Pritzker is Lake Michigan. So I don't know about that.
He was all excited yesterday because, and Dan helped me with this one, they claim that they raised $94 million for this week-long event.
So he wrote a $94 million check then?
Thank you.
I'm really excited about the fact that we raised more money than anyone expected, more than any other Democrat convention ever has.
Yay! Go Pritzker. But I have to tell you, people that live near the United Center, they're not happy with all the fencing. They're not happy with all the cars getting towed. Here's Letitia Clark.
It's like they're putting us in prison, all in the sake of a Democratic convention. We're on the outside of this. Like, we're not in there. We don't know what goes on in there. And I'm sure they got Secret Service that can protect them, whatever. But what about us? Like, they don't care?
Yes, they don't care.
They don't care. Next question.
This just in, Letitia. And thanks for joining us.
Yes. So move your car and shut up. Sit down and be quiet. And if you want, put your mask on because mpox is here.
And what are you going to do when you go down there other than mask up?
Oh, I'm going to count how many people are wearing masks. I know, I'm not kidding you. I bet there'll be a handful of people wearing masks, but this is Chicago. I don't know. I'm still deciding. I think I want to go. I wasn't going to go to Monday night to see Biden's farewell, but apparently Biden's going to speak and then he's going to leave because he is not happy that he was kicked off the ticket, so he's not going to participate. But I think that could be fake news. I think that they don't want him there because we have to look forward now and not look in the rearview mirror.
Why? Biden was out and about yesterday and he was talking about inflation.
Yes. I told you we're going to have a soft landing. We're going to have a soft landing. My policies are working. Start writing that way, okay?
Okay.
Oh, telling the media what to do. Again, like that's a big stretch.
Telling his staff what to do.
Yeah.
Right. Well, he should. That's what you're supposed to do. Seems pretty spry to me. I don't know.
What's he going to say?
Maybe he'll stage a coup at the convention. Maybe he'll say, they said, go, they tried to push me out and.
Oh, that would be awesome.
Go. Jump in Lake Michigan. I'm staying.
Oh, that would be monumental, and I would love to be there for that, to watch history in the making.
Maybe that's why they don't want to speak. They're afraid that he'll.
He gets a Monday slot.
No,
That's so insulting.
I'll go off script or something.
Don't you think? Come on, of all the conventions we've covered, getting the Monday slot. I mean, at least it's not Monday at noon. But I don't know.
Joe Biden is someone who cannot be insulted. What was pushing him out of the race? Was that an insult?
Oh, yeah.
Joe Biden is a company man. So is Kamala. So is Tim Walz. These are the apparatchiks. And frankly, so is Obama. He was a cipher, too. They're all ciphers. Mm-hmm. Some are just better at being ciphers than others. but none of them have any dignity. None of them have any self-respect, particularly Joe Biden. 50 years of doing this, taking every position under the sun, depending on what position needed to be taken, of influence peddling to enrich yourself and your family members at the expense of America's interests. You think this is a person who has shame, who's capable of shame?
He's going to get up on that stage with his tail between his legs. But even President Trump, looking forward to it.
Let them have their convention, and who knows how that's going to turn out. Joe Biden is a very angry man. You know that, right? Because they took it away from him. They usurped it.
Yeah, we'll see. Well, we perhaps got a little taste of what it might look like in New York City after a Kamala Harris campaign event yesterday. That was a full-on melee on the streets of New York. So that was just that. And that was just a little like at a restaurant, an after party. So multiply that by a factor of 100 or so, and you have 40,000 of those arrested adolescents given to temper tantrums in lieu of arguments, roaming the streets of Chicago wherever they may go. Yeah, I don't think it's going to be good.
Got a text message, Dan. Dan and Amy, he'll forget that he was pushed out and proceed to speak as if he's still the candidate. I mean, they really, once he gets up there, I don't know. Can't control what he says.
On the AM 560 The Answer mobile app, just text the word app to 64636 to download the app today.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Hi, I'm Paul Jenkins, owner of Bancroft Architects and Engineers, a service-disabled veteran-owned small business providing design solutions for clients, including the VA. When looking for a trusted banking partner, Bancroft was lucky to find that partner in Signature Bank in 2015. With Signature, personal service goes beyond a login and a PIN number. My staff and I have the comfort of knowing that we're dealing with real people who know our business and care about us as individuals. Signature helped finance our new state-of-the-art facility, and Bancroft looks forward to further expanding business opportunities for disabled veterans and historically disadvantaged communities.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. To learn more about turning your business vision into reality, visit signaturebank.bank. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
All right. Pain from arthritis is just awful. If you have it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Bone on bone, constant pain. It robs you of so much. But there are effective ways to deal with that pain. And we're not talking about drugs or surgery. Listen up. There's exciting new cellular therapies that can get you lasting relief. And the place to go is QC Kinetics. Our good friends at QC Kinetics uses cutting-edge treatments that accelerate your own body's healing properties, revitalizing your joints so you can move again. Listen up. If you're living with chronic pain from arthritis or injury, you need to know that steroids and surgery and pain pills, cortisone shots, no longer your only option. Learn how QC Kinetics can use advanced regenerative medicine to treat that pain, enhance your joints, and get you back to living again. Here's what you do. Call this number, 312-809-5955. They have new locations in Crystal Lake and Gurnee, taking appointments on Saturday. And again, the number to call is 312-809-5955. 312-809-5955. Again, that's 312-809-5955.
Are you turning 65 and thinking about Medicare? Or are you over 65 and haven't enrolled yet because you still have coverage at work? Either way, Medicare done correctly will be the best health insurance you will ever have. Imagine having an annual deductible of only $240. There are only two good things about aging, wisdom and Medicare. But to navigate the Medicare maze properly, you need a mentor. Best part, my guidance cost you nothing. Call me. I can help.
If you're tired of calling a bureaucrat at an 800 number to help you navigate Medicare, then you need a local expert on your side, your own health insurance mentor. C. Stephen Tucker from healthinsurancementors.com is someone I know and trust. He's a 30-year licensed broker who's been educating our listeners for more than a decade. Steve, how can our listeners get in touch with you?
Thanks, Dan. They can visit healthinsurancementors.com or call me directly at 630-674-1551. That's 630-674-1551. 1551.
Hi, I'm Ken Mariotti, owner of Woodland Windows and Doors in Roselle. We know you're bombarded by choices when shopping for new windows or doors, so we're inviting you to experience the Woodland difference. Since 1969, we've been transforming living spaces with Marvin Windows. From modern to traditional styles, Marvin replacement windows and doors can bring your backyard right into your living space. Make your home feel brighter and more spacious. Our professional services, along with the best products like Marvin, are why we're proud of our 5-star reviews. No gimmicks, no pressure, and upfront pricing are why Woodland Windows and Doors is your trusted window and door experts in Chicagoland. Need new windows now? Buy now, pay later with 0% financing for 18 months. Terms and conditions apply. Visit woodlandwindows.com and schedule an appointment today. That's woodlandwindows.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
We'll talk law and order in the context of POTUS politics with Andy McCarthy, former Chief Assistant U.S. Attorney from the Southern District of New York. Andy McCarthy, 707.
But now let's head into that newsroom for news here at home and around the world. Here is Mike Scott.
Thunderstorms and rain rolling through the area. We will get a look at that forecast in just a moment. Illinois Democrats rally at the state fair ahead of the DNC. There's a report that Brandon Johnson is trying to push out the CPS CEO. We'll tell you why. Riot Fest will stay in Douglas Park after last-second negotiations. A woman is seen on video attacking Frontier Airlines staffers at O'Hare. Cubs fall to the Guardians. White Sox get crushed by the Yankees. And the Fire terminate Shaqiri. WIND Chicago News Time is 7 o'clock.
40,000 deaths in Gaza. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. That's what Palestinian officials now report as Israel's war against Hamas rages. There is a new attempt to stop it. Fox's Trey Yingst reports from Haifa, Israel.
Ceasefire talks are set to resume today in Qatar as the Middle East waits for an agreement. This meeting is largely seen as a high-stakes, last-ditch effort to reach a deal and end the war in Gaza. We do know overnight Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu gave his negotiating team a wider mandate to bring to the table.
But Hamas is not expected to be there after their political leader was killed in Iran 2 weeks ago, prompting Iran to vow to attack Israel. After all the pro-Palestinian protests on college campuses in the spring, Columbia University's president, Manoush Shafiq, has resigned. Jewish students have complained about not feeling safe. Elisha Baker just told Fox.
We have professors that are joining chants for me to get off of campus.
That's right.
We have professors that are basically teaching as scholar activists.
2 weeks after the prisoner swap that freed Wall Street Journal reporter Evan Gershkovich and 3 other Americans jailed in Russia. Fox's Tanya J. Powers reports an American with dual citizenship gets a 12-year sentence for treason.
Ksenia Kavana, who was identified by Russian authorities as Ksenia Karolina, her maiden name, was arrested in February while visiting family in Russia. She is accused of raising money for the Ukrainian military and pleaded guilty in a closed trial last week.
The economy is center stage in the presidential campaign.
We will rapidly drive prices down and make America affordable again.
Former President Trump at a rally in Asheville, North Carolina.
Everything Kamala Harris touches turns bad. It all turns bad.
The Vice President and President Biden will be together today at an event in Maryland focused on lowering prices. A new Fox News poll shows a 1-point Trump lead in the race, with more voters trusting the former president on the economy and more trusting Harris on abortion and health care. America's listening to Fox News.
Dr. Sebastian Gorka. The problem.
Guess who really runs things for operations at the Secret Service?
Ooh, Deputy Director?
Bingo. So the Deputy Director was really responsible for Butler, and now he's the Director. Just because he's next in line doesn't mean you've solved anything.
America First with Dr. Sebastian Gorka. Afternoons at 3, right before Sean Thompson at 4 on AM 560. The Answer.
7:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning, everyone. I'm Mike Scott. Arlington Heights fire officials saying one person was injured, 4 were rescued, when a fire broke out in the kitchen of a townhome Wednesday night.
No one else injured. We did have a report of several people trapped on the second floor balconies while we were en route. Buffalo Grove Tower 25 was able to throw an extension ladder up, and they did rescue 4 people off the second floor balcony that were stuck on their balcony.
According to the fire chief, several units were badly damaged. They are assessing whether they're able to get back into their homes this morning. Just days before the DNC opens, there are fresh concerns over cybersecurity after a recent report said it found some DNC data and credentials on a dark web hacking service. The Department of Homeland Security, as you may know, has designated the DNC a national special security event similar to the State of the Union. Illinois Democrats getting fired up for the DNC next week.
When they come here next week from every state in the United States and all of the press from all over the world, you know what they're going to see? They're going to see a state where Democrats deliver.
Governor Pritzker and other Democrats rallying yesterday. Republicans will rally today. Mayor Brandon Johnson is trying to remove the head of the Chicago Public Schools. The Sun-Times and others report Johnson's administration is trying to lay the groundwork to push out CPS CEO Pedro Martinez. Last month, Martinez refused to take on a pension payment that Johnson insisted be paid by the school system. He also opposed a City Hall request, according to the Sun-Times, that the CPS administration take out a short-term, high-interest loan to cover payments and a new CTU contract. Riot Fest appears to be staying in Chicago after all.
If the community feels that this is something that they want and they want to champion this, just like Alderwoman Monique Scott has done, then it's a celebration for the community, and we're more than happy to engage through the process to make sure that the process is ultimately successful.
Park District CEO Rosa Escarino. Chicago police are investigating after a woman is seen on video attacking Frontier Airlines staff at O'Hare. Authorities say the woman started an argument with 2 other women July 30th. She then jumped over a check-in counter, hurling a computer monitor at Frontier Airlines staff. The attacker fled. This morning, there is no one in custody. Cubs lost to Cleveland 6-1, while the Southsiders were pounded by the Yankees 10-2. The news service of Papa Nicholas Coffee, a Chicagoland tradition for over 5 generations. Hot air roasted locally and cold blended in small batches to ensure premium quality. Choose Papa Nicholas Coffee because great coffee is their family tradition at papanicholas.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Small business owners, we know tackling your to-do list can sometimes feel like going 12 rounds against a heavyweight champ. Except that heavyweight's gloves are made of something hard, like diamonds. So when a new to-do pops up, you're like, I can't. I'm boxing my diamond boxing glove-wearing heavyweight champ of a to-do list. At Progressive, we don't want to make your day any harder. That's why we make it easy with over 30 customizable coverage options, so you can finally land a knockout blow. See if you can save on business insurance in as little as 7 minutes at ProgressiveCommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company. Coverage provided and serviced by affiliated and third-party insurers.
The best things in life, they come in twos. 2 scoops of ice cream, 2 tacos. And now for a limited time, get our best deal of the year. Buy any phone when you switch to Consumer Cellular and get 2 months of service free. That's right, the same fast, reliable nationwide coverage as Big Wireless, now with 2 months free. Proof the best things in life really do come in twos. Visit ConsumerCellular.com or call 1-888-FREEDOM. Second and third month of monthly base service fee waived for new customers with the purchase of a phone and activation by September 2nd, 2024. Taxes, fees, and third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
Suburban Welding and Steel is your local welding, fabricating, and repair shop where service and quality is number one. Their dedicated team of experts can repair a job on-site or in their shop located in Franklin Park. They have the machinery needed to get your project completed with the craftsmanship and precision so you can get back to business. Suburban Welding and Steel Services, more than just the manufacturing industry. They also service the food industry, heavy equipment, trucking, airports, and railroads. Walk-ins are also welcome, so if you need it welded, repaired, fabricated, or modified, Suburban Welding and Steel will do the laser cutting, machining, forming, and plate rolling for you. Or they have the materials you need in stock and ready for the purchase. And if you know a hardworking person looking for a career in the trade, Suburban Welding and Steel is looking to add to their team of experts. Visit suburbanweldingandsteel.com to see the full story on what they can do for you. suburbanweldingandsteel.com.
7:08. Let's check the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. And this update, a service of the Shingle Company. We've all heard about the dangers of climbing sloped roofs lately. Well, you can rest easy with the pros at the Shingle Company. You're unafraid of sloped roof experts. Contact shingleco.com, shingleco.com, and inquire about their low price guarantee. Kennedy, solid 1 hour O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. Ike inbound, an accident blocking the entrance ramp. That's 2 left-hand lanes blocked on the inbound on-ramp from Manheim this morning. Cleaning up delays on I-55 northbound between Weber and the Veterans Memorial Toll Road, I-355, and the Bishop Ford slam solid between the Stony Island feeder and the Dan Ryan. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Steve Williams.
Clouds breezy and humid, not as warm. Shower and heavy thunderstorm today. We could get some flash flooding, high 78. Cloudy and breezy tonight, shower and thunderstorm, low 69. Partly sunny, straight thunderstorm, warm and humid tomorrow, the high at 86. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Light rain across the area, 72 at O'Hare and Midway. And your next news update is at 7:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. While the D.C. press corps is working earnestly to unburden Kamala from what she has been, we need to focus on some of the things she has said and the things that she has done when she was a proud card-carrying new Bolshevik. One of the more chilling statements she's made, this is right up there with Tim Walz's statement on freedom of speech, which is something that has limitations in Tim Walz's world that were not contemplated by the founders or the Supreme Court, for that matter. But anyway, he's free speech for people who agree with me kind of guy, Tim Walz is. Kamala Harris once waxing philosophic, off script, danger zone for Kamala, waxing philosophic about her prosecutorial power when she was one in California.
You know, the power I have as a prosecutor is that with a swipe of my pen, I can charge someone with a misdemeanor, the lowest level offense possible. And by virtue of that swipe of my pen, you will have to go to a courthouse and stand in line. You will have to come out of pocket and hire an attorney. You may get arrested for a few hours. You will be embarrassed in your community. You will miss time from coming onto the Google campus, all because with the swipe of my pen I've charged you with a crime, which I may choose to dismiss 2 weeks later. It's an incredible amount of power.
It really is.
And she enjoys every second of it.
And I think the way it comes across to me is she enjoys using it capriciously. Andy McCarthy is a former chief assistant U.S. attorney, Southern District of New York, contributing editor at National Review, author of the bestseller Ball of Collusion, The Plot to Rig an Election and Destroy a Presidency. Andy, thanks for joining us. Is that the kind of thing you guys would say, the old Southern District of New York, sitting around the water cooler, just marveling in your own power and the ability to use it arbitrarily?
Well, good morning, guys. She said things that I thought were a lot crazier, and let me just try to explain why. When you are a young prosecutor, they do stress to you that, at least in well-run offices, I was, as you said, I was in the Southern District of New York, which was a federal office. I don't think she was ever a federal prosecutor. I think she was always a state prosecutor in California. Mm-hmm. But responsible prosecutors make that pitch to you, but the important thing here is that you're told to imagine yourself on the receiving end of some of the things that prosecutors can do. And the reason the lesson is drummed into you is to try to make clear that you can ruin an innocent person's life if you don't do your job carefully and responsibly, because it is an enormous amount of power. And as we've seen, I think, again and again over the lawfare campaign, it's not just a matter of, they prosecute you and maybe you're guilty of a crime. The process itself is the penalty in a lot of ways. It's very expensive. It's humiliating. It induces a lot of anxiety. And in a good prosecutor's office, they basically remind you all the time that not just that you have an enormous amount of power, but to think about what it would be like to have that power inflicted on you and what you would expect in the way of it's being used in a responsible way before action was taken against you. And I think you're right to point out that there's two ways of taking the message that she just, in that clip that you just played. One is, if you have the wrong kind of person, that's a very intoxicating thing to say, look at how much power you have. The right way to do that is to say, this is an enormous amount of power in what's supposed to be a free society where people are presumed innocent. And the only way that you can responsibly exercise it is to imagine what you would expect before it was inflicted on you. And that's not what I'm taking from her.
No, I think
from her articulation of it.
No, I think the blood dripping from her fangs when she was offering that statement was a bit of a tell. This is very much like what we hear and what we've seen in New York with, for example, Tish James campaigning on getting Trump. These are not prosecutors that are humbled by the power they have and are thinking about the restraint that calls for and the judiciousness with respect to the use of that power. These are people like, I got all this power and I can do whatever I want to whoever I want, and that's exactly what I'm going to do.
Yeah, the politicized use of the power is not only abusive, sometimes in a ruinous way, in individual cases. I think, just think about our conversations over the years. The accumulated effect of it is to delegitimize the whole idea of the rule of law and the idea that our criminal justice system produces legitimate outcomes. And I think whenever I think about that, I think people are playing with fire, because if you don't have that system, you can't have the rule of law. And if you can't have the rule of law, you really can't have a flourishing society. You're a lot closer to the law of the jungle. And I just, all of this over the years, taking the powers that are reposed in the Justice Department, taking the powers that these elected district attorneys have and using them in a political way is ruinous in a way that I think the people who are doing it don't appreciate.
Well, right. And staying in New York for a minute, we still have a September 18th sentencing date that's sort of been lost in all the tumult of the last several weeks. But Trump is going to be sentenced in Manhattan on September 18th, barring something unexpected, which who knows?
Well, who knows?
Who knows with that? Yeah. But anyway, his appeal based on the Supreme Court's presidential immunity decision was rejected, as we anticipated and we spoke with you about. Given the political landscape, obviously the judge in that case is very attentive to the political landscape now, and is we're coming up on that date, and this will be a little over a week after the first debate, and ostensibly the first debate, unless she agrees to the September 4th one. What do you anticipate with respect to that hearing? Anything different are you thinking about it in any different way than you were a few weeks ago?
No, I've been writing about this the last couple of days to try to focus people on the fact that the sentencing is going to happen 2 days after early voting begins in Pennsylvania, and I think only a couple of days before it begins in a few other states that may be consequential in the election. So here's the current scheme of things. Trump, after the Supreme Court decided the immunity case, made some post-trial motions. One was to have the guilty verdicts thrown out on the basis of the immunity ruling. And his reason for doing that is that the Supreme Court said in the immunity ruling that presidents have immunity from their official acts, such that not only can you not charge an official act as a crime, like if the president orders, famously they kept saying he orders a political assassination, that act can't be charged as murder, as a crime in and of itself. What the court also said was that immunized acts can't be used as evidence in a chain of proof to prove another crime that's supposedly based on private activity, right? So the thing is, it's not just that you can't charge it as a crime in and of itself. You can't even use it as evidence to prove other crimes. And that should be a big problem for Bragg's case in Manhattan, because he clearly used evidence of Trump's official acts. He even called two of his White House staffers as witnesses. And they can't really say that evidence was unimportant, because when the prosecutors summed up to the jury, they said it was devastating evidence. So I don't see how you can say that it was like de minimis or not prejudicial, et cetera. So Trump moved to have the case thrown out, or the verdicts thrown out, on that basis. And he also yet again asked for Judge Merchan to recuse himself. And I don't mean to suggest by saying that I don't think, the way I said that, I don't mean to suggest that I don't think Merchan should be recused. I think a good judge wouldn't have had to be told that. He clearly should not have been the judge on this case. The only reason I sort of roll my eyes a little bit is Trump has made this motion like 3 times already. This judge is not going to recuse himself, right? So yesterday, or I guess probably 2 days ago, Merchan denied the recusal motion, as everybody expected. He says he's going to rule on the immunity by September 16th. I suspect the reason he's doing that so late is he's obviously going to deny the immunity motion, but he wants to do it as late as he can before the sentencing, because he doesn't want to give Trump time to appeal. And I think he's going to impose a prison sentence.
Really?
And the reason I think that is because Trump is going to get bail pending appeal. So there's no way he's actually going to be put in prison. And I've always thought the reason for this prosecution, which is a ridiculous case, is to allow the Democrats to say in as powerful a way as they can in the run-up to the election that Trump is a criminal. So I think they'd like to be able to tell the voting public he's a convicted felon who
sentenced to jail time,
facing a prison sentence.
Yeah.
No way. It's not like he has to think he's actually putting Trump in prison. He won't. But they will have the political message for the last 6 weeks, including when people have already started voting. That'll be if people don't think that's going to leave a mark, I think it's going to leave a mark, because the only remaining consequential audience in the election are people who are unlike us, who don't follow politics and just tune in, when they vote, and they usually don't tune in till it's time to vote. And for those people, and it may be a diminishing amount of them, but they're out there, it could be a big deal to them that, Trump has been convicted of felony. They're not going to know what a farce this case was. All they're going to know is he was convicted of felonies and he's facing a prison sentence. And they'll be asking all the things that we've talked about for a couple of years, right? Does this mean he can't run for president? Does this mean he'd have to be in jail while he's, they'll be asking all those same things.
Yep. They sure will. And, the other reason he has to impose a prison sentence is because you have to legitimize this farce. You can't go through all this and say, oh, yeah, suspended, you pay a fine and do a weekend of picking up trash. You can't do that. And what was this all about?
Yeah, not just that, Dan. The formal charges in the case are falsification of business records, but the way that Bragg and his prosecutors portrayed the case to the jury, which the judge allowed them to do, was this was a conspiracy to steal the 2016 presidential election that worked. If that was what this really was, that's the crime of the century. How can you not give a prison sentence for that?
I know, but they could have brought this case 6 years ago, and they waited. It's so obvious what they're doing here. They waited until an election year.
It's obvious to us, but New York is an elected legal system. Even the judges, not Merchant. Merchant's appointed by the Democrats in the system, but a lot of the judges, like Arthur Engoron, who had the civil case, he's an elected judge, right? These are all elected Democrats, and they're not interested in like the machinations they had to go through to get the case to trial as a felony. We care about that stuff, but in New York they don't care about it, and in the media they don't care about it. And the question is, are voters going to care about it? To the extent they pay any attention to it in the last, 6 to 8 weeks before Election Day.
Well, before we let you go, I just wanted to get your comment. We mentioned it in passing earlier in the program, but a couple years ago, over the last few years actually, you got headlines like this from The Intercept. Republican conspiracy theory about a Biden scandal in Ukraine is absolute nonsense. The rumor that Joe Biden abused his power to protect his son's business interests in Ukraine. Total nonsense, leading anti-corruption advocates say. The New York Times reporting this week, Hunter Biden asked the State Department for help securing Burisma project in 2016. There's also prosecutors indicated in court papers last week with respect to Hunter Biden's upcoming trial for tax evasion that they were going to introduce evidence of Hunter Biden's other business dealings, including with a Romanian businessman who was trying to influence government policy during Joe Biden's term as vice president. Absolute nonsense. And, it turned out to be true.
Yeah, well, look, you're playing with the House money when the media is on your side, and these guys know that they're never going to be taken into account for the kind of nonsense that they say. This is why nobody believes anything the media tells them. I think the media probably has a lower approval rating than Congress does these days.
Yeah.
But I don't think we can't take a lot of comfort from that, because I do think people hear things in the media and they think they're probably not true. But you can shoot down a bad media story when they're trying to represent something to you. But what we haven't figured out how to do is, if the media wants to kill a story, they can still do it. And there's not much to be done about it. And for example, and the most powerful example we have in front of us is, if they won't ask Kamala Harris questions, we can all know that she's a blithering idiot, and that to the extent that she has ideas, they're noxious ideas, and they're probably ideas she hasn't thought through in any kind of a critical way. But if nobody asks her questions, then how's anyone going to know that? And at this point, she seems to think she can get through, and I have a sad feeling that she may be right. She thinks she can get through the next 80 days without having to be put through the crucible that candidates are usually put through. And it's one of the most disgraceful things I think we've ever seen out of the media. But
at least since the 2008 campaign, when Obama was anointed by them as having descended from on high to save us.
The second coming.
Yeah, well, look, every time we think they've gone as low as they can go, they defy your expectations.
Well, right. I mean, but the problem, what we don't recognize, it seems to me, I don't know, just my observation is, the media, to your point, media has a lower approval rating than Congress, and I don't believe anything the media says. And then that same person will say, "Hey, did you see what Jim Acosta reported? Hey, did you see what NBC said?" I mean, it's just it's like I totally reject everything they say. You can't believe what I just saw on ABC. Oh, well, which is it?
Yeah,
you don't believe it. You don't believe it, like, intellectually, but in terms of your sort of visceral reptilian response, you're there. They got you, and they know that.
Yeah. Well, and it's not only that, Dan. It's that they're deciding what you talk about, right? You may not believe them, but they're setting the agenda of what you talk about.
Right. Well, this is my point. We were just having this discussion. Yeah. Talk about Jim Acosta, these other CNN, and some of these people, they want to pretend like they're media, and a lot of people will pretend along with them. And so they say, can't you do a press conference? What is her campaign schedule today? Right. So they want us talking about Kamala's appearances with them while they're earnestly working to reintroduce her and detach her from the administration she's a part of. That's what they want us talking about. So why are we talking about that? Rather than talking about the position she's taken on issues, things she's done in her positions that she's been elected to, that run afoul of the supermajority of Americans' views on these issues, and they would be aghast if they knew some of the things she did, but they don't know because we take our cues and we're saying, yeah, why won't she do an interview with Anderson Cooper? Like, that freaking matters. What matters is what she's done, said and done. What matters is who she is, not who she's interacting with, especially when they're friendlies.
No. What matters is whether J.D. Vance is weird.
Yeah, well,
right?
Yeah, right.
Wasn't that worth taking 2
And
weeks?
is a troop hillbilly go to Yale?
And then-
I mean, that's what Walz
and
is
then,
fighting.
and then, but then our response is, we're not weird, you're weird. Well, okay, so now we're having their conversation again.
Right, but that's exactly the point. You're right.
Andy McCarthy, former Chief Assistant U.S. Attorney, Southern District of New York, contributing editor, National Review, the author of the bestseller Ball of Collusion, The Plot to Rig an Election and Destroy a Presidency. Ball of Collusion is the book. Andy, thanks as always.
Thanks, guys. Have a great day.
Thank you, and he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Hear about the big stories of the day, then talk about them right here on Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
I'm worried about Mom. She's having a tough time moving around the house.
Oh, I know. She still thinks she can do everything on her own.
Exactly, but I've been over there every day this week, helping her navigate the stairs, cooking meals, reminding her to take her medicine. I'm always nervous when I leave.
You know what? I admire you for taking care of Mom. But your family needs you too. And what if she slips and falls? A friend recommended the caregivers at Senior Helpers of Naperville Southwest. They service Cook, DuPage, Kane, and Will counties. They guarantee compatibility and they'll conduct a free safety assessment of her home. Plus, they'll provide as little or as much care as Mom needs.
Senior Helpers of Naperville Southwest, offering both hourly and live-in care. Schedule a free assessment today by calling 331-281-0728. That's 331-281-0728. Again, that's 331-281-0728. And tell them AM 560 sent you. Senior Helpers of Naperville Southwest. Senior care, only better.
When I look out over America, so many things that get me angry. You just heard. I know you feel the same way. Stress levels are high right now, which is not healthy. Stress can raise your blood pressure. That's why it's not healthy. And I'm talking like Kamala Harris. And high blood pressure is the #1 risk factor for mortality. 1 out of 2 of us are walking around with high blood pressure, and that's a ticking time bomb. But thankfully, it's never been easier to take control of your blood pressure with 120 Life. A remarkable natural juice drink, a remarkable natural juice blend or powder mix that can help lower your blood pressure without the side effects of pills. It's formulated with scientifically backed ingredients from superfruits, berries, and minerals shown to naturally help control high blood pressure. And it works. It's endorsed by more than 70 health professionals, so try for yourself risk-free with their 2-week trial. Visit 120life.com and use the code LIBERTY to save 15% and receive free shipping. If 120 Life doesn't help lower your blood pressure in 2 weeks, they'll give you your money back. So don't get mad. Get even by lowering your blood pressure naturally. Go to 120life.com and use the coupon code LIBERTY to save 15% off your order.
Right now, Bettenhausen has 0% on new Jeeps during the Make This the Summer event at Bettenhausen Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, now open on 159th Street in Lockport. Celebrate summer with a new Jeep. Bettenhausen has 0% financing available on new Jeep Cherokees, new Jeep Wranglers, or new Jeep Compasses. Hurry into Bettenhausen in Lockport. Your best Jeep buying experience starts now at Bettenhausen. Showroom open 24/7 at cdjroflockport.com.
Dennis Prager here. Join me on an unforgettable cruise to the Caribbean this November. We'll cruise to the vibrant islands of Half Moon Cay, Curacao, Bonaire, Turks and Caicos, and much more. We'll be joined by special guest Sean McDowell, and we'll both be sharing insights into current events in a way I hope energizes and challenges you. Secure your spot before space runs out by calling 855-565-5519 or book online at pragercruise.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
River Page, a reporter at the Free Press, on Twitter as Real Life now. That's our connection to real life. Twitter, 737.
And arresting grandma who owns a business in Minnesota. But now let's head into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
7:32, rain showers crossing the area, and the president of Columbia University is out of a job this morning, resigning after months of campus protest and Jewish students feeling unsafe. In a message on Wednesday night, President Minouche Shafik saying she was resigning effective immediately and that the recent turmoil had taken a toll. Republican VP candidate J.D. Vance will be in western Pennsylvania this morning. He'll speak with veterans. The senator from Ohio and Marine Corps vet will deliver remarks at a VFW. Yesterday, Vance said he's up for any debate with Tim Walz.
We're certainly going to debate Tim Walz. We just heard about this thing 3 hours ago, so we're going to talk to them and figure out when we can debate. I actually think we should do more than one debate, so hopefully we're going to see him on October 1st, but hopefully we're going to see him either before or after that, because I think it's important for the American people to actually see us discuss our views.
The debate has been proposed by CBS for October 1st. Senior U.S. officials from Washington and the Middle East are hoping for a breakthrough today in the Gaza ceasefire negotiations. The summit in Qatar will include some Israeli officials, including those of their Secret Service. NASA says a decision on when 2 astronauts stuck in space can return to Earth will be made by the end of the month. Butch Wilmore and Sunita Williams have been stranded on board the ISS since going up in the Boeing Starliner in June. The State Fair of Texas has decided to ban guns after a shooting on the fairgrounds. Now Republicans are threatening the opening of the institution this fall. Attorney General Ken Paxton warning that he would file a lawsuit if the ban was not rescinded. A man in critical condition after being pulled from Lake Michigan Wednesday night on the city's south side. It happened near the 67th Street beach. After the water rescue, a 34-year-old man was rushed to the University of Chicago Hospital. Illinois Democrats getting fired up for next week's DNC.
When they come here next week from every state in the United States and all of the press from all over the world, you know what they're going to see? They're going to see a state where Democrats deliver.
Governor Pritzker and other Democrats rallied yesterday. Republicans are set to rally later today. A Republican state legislator is praising a Democrat for pointing out that legislators are passing bills in Springfield subject to appropriation without knowing how much things will cost Illinois taxpayers. And an NFL player, Chris Jones, is offering to pay for more than $1.5 million worth of chicken wings stolen by a former employee from a Harvey school district. In a post on X, the Kansas City Chiefs defensive lineman said he would cover the cost of the stolen wings in order to free Vera Liddell from prison. The 68-year-old was sentenced to 9 years last week. Cubs lost to Cleveland 6-1. Yankees pound the White Sox 10-2. The news a service of Crosscom Public Adjusters. If your home or business has an insurance claim, Crosscom will help you get what you need and have coming to you. They've helped thousands. CrosscomPublicAdjusters.com. And a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Do you have jewelry with sentimental value that needs repairing? Hi, it's Mike. I'm a customer of family-owned Roland's Jewelers in downtown
Are you turning 65 and thinking about Medicare? Or are you over 65 and haven't enrolled yet because you still have coverage at work? Either way, Medicare done correctly will be the best health insurance you will ever have. Imagine having an annual deductible of only $240. There are only 2 good things about aging: wisdom and Medicare. But to navigate the Medicare maze properly, you need a mentor. Best part, my guidance costs you nothing. Call me. I can help.
If you're tired of calling a bureaucrat at an 800 number to help you navigate Medicare, then you need a local expert on your side, your own health insurance mentor. C. Stephen Tucker from healthinsurancementors.com is someone I know and trust. He's a 30-year licensed broker who's been educating our listeners for more than a decade. Steve, how can our listeners get in touch with you?
Thanks, Dan. They can visit healthinsurancementors.com or call me directly at 630-674-1551. That's 630-674-1551.
Do you have jewelry with sentimental value that needs repairing? Hi, it's Mike Gallagher. I'm a customer of family-owned Roland's Jewelers in downtown Libertyville because it's a place I trust. Their in-house master jeweler does impeccable work, and jewelry comes back repaired in perfect condition and looks the same as the day you bought it. It's a great feeling. Roland's also specializes in custom design. They'll work with you every step of the way to make your dream jewelry idea come to life. The Roland's family is expertly trained to give you outstanding customer service, earning 5-star Google ratings. Now that's impressive. Visit Roland's Jewelers' beautiful showroom in downtown Libertyville for all of your jewelry needs. Visit RolandsJewelers.com. That's ROLLANDS Jewelers.com, or call or text them at 847-918-7300. 847-918-7300. Roland's Jewelers, a family-owned jeweler you can trust.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
I'm Jim Durkin, founding partner of the Martech Group, a global market research firm based in Chicago since 1985 and a longtime customer of Signature Bank. When our business moved to our current Loop location, I recall seeing Mick O'Rourke and his two business partners, Brian Duncan and Kevin Vestuga, laying the foundation for Signature Bank. When Signature opened its doors in 2006, I was proud to move our accounts there and become a shareholder. Being in the consulting business, the Martech Group has a keen understanding of the value of relationships, trust, and attentiveness. Whether dealing with our U.S. practice or our international operations, Signature Bank is always there when we need them. That's why the Martech Group is proud to have Signature Bank as a valued business partner.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. To learn more about turning your business vision into reality, visit signaturebank.bank. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Don't let a cold, sinus infection, or allergies ruin your day. Breathe easier, sleep better, and feel healthier with Navage. Visit Navage.com, Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, or a store near you.
7:39. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Delivered by Quick Delivery Service. Ground delivery when you need it from safe, licensed professionals. Visit quickdelivery.com when you need same-day delivery of your routes. Quickdelivery.com now to schedule that delivery. Inbound Kennedy 65 from O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. Kennedy is slow outbound between Montrose and Cumberland. An accident on the entrance ramp, the on-ramp from Manheim, gumming things up there. And a 64-minute commute inbound on the Ike from 390 into the old post office. Watching delays begin to build on the Tri-State northbound right at Roosevelt Road and the Reagan eastbound between York and the Tri-State. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Showers and heavy thunderstorms crossing the area. High of 78. Light rain and 68. Currently, your next news is at 8, and Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. J.D. Vance was on with Ingram when a little after word came down that that Tim Walz, at least, has agreed to, Tampon Tim has agreed to the CBS proposed debate on October 1st, and Vance was asked about debating Walz, and he's looking forward to it, and very consistent with his running mate, that would be one Donald Trump. He'd like to do more than just one debate. It's always fun. The tough talk from Kamala and Tim Walz about debating, and then Trump and Vance come over the top and say, yeah, we'll do that debate and let's do some more, and then you get crickets.
Look, Laura, we're certainly going to debate Tim Walz. We just heard about this thing 3 hours ago, so we're going to talk to them and figure out when we can debate. I actually think we should do more than one debate, so hopefully we're going to see him on October 1st, but hopefully we're going to see him either before or after that, because I think it's important for the American people to actually see us discuss our views. If you look at the way that we've run this campaign, Laura, Donald Trump and I are giving every media interview. We're talking to every audience audience that we can get in front of, because our vision is so clear. We don't think that Americans who work hard and play by the rules should struggle to afford groceries. We don't think our children should be killed by fentanyl, and we have a vision for how to implement public policies that are going to secure that border, cut down on the drugs, and bring the costs of everything from groceries to housing down to reasonable levels. Because we have that vision, we're going to go anywhere and talk to anybody. It's a shame that the Kamala Harris-Tim Walz campaign seems to run, not just from the media, but from voters. And I think that, again, the American people see right through it.
A lot of them don't see right through it, and that's the job of this campaign, as J.D. Vance properly understands. The job of the campaign is to make sure that as many voters are at least made aware of it. They can't not acknowledge that they've heard something about the positions from which both Kamala and Walz are now fleeing.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro text line. You could also text us, I should say, on that very same line. I'm looking forward to that debate. That's going to be, it's going to be, I think, a throwdown by J.D. Vance to Tim Walz.
Well, yeah, hopefully more than one. I mean, as many bites as the apple as Trump and Vance can get. I think it inures to their benefit. The things they're fleeing from, though. You know, again, you're not going to get this from the D.C. press corps, but in the age of digital media, particularly Elon Musk's X, you do get some distribution of information that the media would love to throttle. For example, as we've talked about a bit, but you got to put some color on this. You know, Tim Walz as governor, not just tampons in the boys' room, but he was a COVIDian lockdown artist on the order of a Jelly Belly or an Eva Perón of East Lansing or a Patrick Bateman in California. These were lockdown politicians that destroyed people's businesses and lives. And even though people want to move on, generally speaking, I don't think COVID has a lot of upside for swing voters. There are those on the center left that are particularly attuned to the impact the lockdowns had, probably more on their kids' development, educationally, socially, intellectually, than on business interests. But it certainly includes business interests. And one of those persons whose business interest it includes is Lisa Hansen, who,
she owned a food and wine bistro cafe in Minneapolis. Mother of 8, grandmother, just trying to make it. And I think Governor Walz was worse than Governor Pritzker. He actually put people in jail who opened up their business during COVID after getting warnings. And it's wrong on a number of levels.
Yeah, Lisa Hansen
She was in the clank, man.
Was not just had her business taken away, she had her freedom taken away.
Governor Walz shut down only some of the businesses. The essential businesses got to stay open. So I guess that means that we were a non-essential business. But so he shut down bars, restaurants, gyms, dance studios, hair salons, etc. Who did he not shut down? Who were the essential business owners? That would have been your big box stores, with hundreds and hundreds of people coming to visit through their doors a day, mingling and being close. He did not shut down liquor stores. He did not shut down strip clubs.
Strip clubs.
So think about the contrast there. He shut down a lot of the mom and pop shops, those folks that were just trying to make a living and provide a great product and a great service. In contrast, he allowed big box stores, et cetera, to stay open. Really incredible, an incredible use of tyranny against the people. So we opened up. I can't tell you for sure how long we were open, but immediately within 24 to 48 hours, the state came down on us with a vengeance. They attacked me, a woman, small business owner, as well as other small business owners in the state of Minnesota. They came down, they sent the health department down, they sent everything they could against us. They employed all of their resources against we the people. I went to court. I was found guilty, was precipitated and put on me by the, you got to go all the way to the top. That again, that'd be Tim Walz and Attorney General Keith Ellison. I was given sentenced to 90 days, which was the max sentencing. And I was also fined $1,000, which was the max fine for supposed thing that I did where I was standing on my rights and totally protected by the Constitution of the United States of America. But when you have rogue judges, rogue government, attorney general, et cetera, they're all in lockstep with each other, it doesn't go very well for the people. And this is what we need to be standing against. And this is the story that America needs to know. This is the story that America needs to hear. That Tim Walz is not some cuddly, joyful coach-like, all the things that the MSMs are calling him, or some of the things that they're calling him. That is not who this man is. This man would like to take your rights away. He will take your rights away, because what happened to me could have happened to anybody. What happened to me will happen to you if we don't get things turned around in our country.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. I mean, and don't forget Tim Walz, Grandpa, nice guy, Minnesota nice, bull jive. He marched in an abolish ICE protest back in 2018 as well. And here Tim Walz is in 2020 about COVID.
We know ways to control this, and we know what doesn't pose as high a risk, but gives us both economic, physical, and mental well-being if we participate in those activities.
Yeah, he wanted businesses and restaurants to shut down. But she went a little further toward the end of the interview. She says he's a criminal and Walz should be in jail.
Absolutely, in every way. His policies destroy the American people's rights, the Minnesotans' rights, to be specific. He destroyed so many businesses in the state of Minnesota, never to open again. He destroyed so many lives in Minnesota, literally. The man is a criminal, and he should be impeached, and he should be prosecuted.
She spent 60 days of her 90-day sentence in jail, and she has since left Minnesota and now lives in Iowa.
So, again, this just in, these new Bolsheviks are thugs. And I don't know why people fall for it, but I would think that most adults understand the concept of somebody who smile fracks you. Smiling, gregarious to your face, always warm and cuddly. He's a coach. He's this and that, and then you pay no attention to what he does. But the problem, of course, is that a lot of people supported what they did at the time because they were whipped into a frenzy, and they behaved in the same thuggish way that the politicians they backed behaved. So it was one thug covering for another, and to go back and really have any sort of reckoning with respect to the thuggery would implicate those who supported the thugs they put into public office. And they can't do that. This is why COVID has limited upside. Even the most egregious breaches of people's constitutional rights have limited upside, because the populace in places like Minneapolis, St. Paul, or Chicago were participants in those egregious transgressions against people's constitutional rights. Candace, Mount Pleasant, Wisconsin.
Good morning. I almost think he is, I mean, she's horrible, but he's almost scarier than she is. And I saw those videos of the paintball scene where he's got, SWAT or whatever going down the street, shooting people for being on their front porch. I mean, that is full-on Stalinist, if I don't know what else is. And I mean, I just think he's even creepier than she is. So, I mean, I wonder why she picked him as a ticket, but I almost think it's like a dog whistle to the base to get them, the crazy bits to get them out. But I think he's really bad.
Thanks for the call, Candace.
I never heard that story before. I know he had a COVID snitch line where if you want to tell on your neighbor if they're outside and if they're not standing 6 feet apart from another person, you could call. Like one group got called, they were playing lacrosse in a park and somebody snitched on them.
Yeah, well, this is happening everywhere.
A specific snitch line, a COVID snitch line? I don't recall that being here in Illinois.
Yeah, I think there was in Chicago. I'd have to go back and look, I think, but that wasn't the only snitch line. But that's not even the point. The point is a snitch culture.
Yeah.
The point is that you go back and you're sort of like the moral indignation about what transpired under the thumb of these thugs, and you forget the support they enjoyed, and you forget they got reelected. So did Tim Walz.
No, I know. So did Pritzker. I didn't think that was going to happen, but then Roe v. Wade got overturned.
Deborah in Arlington Heights.
Yeah, I really wish that Trump and Vance would focus more on like the details of the economy. I know we always hear how expensive groceries are, and they are, but like the story goes a lot deeper. Look at credit card debt, look at credit card interest rates, or look at mortgage interest rates, car loan interest rates, repos, foreclosures, you know, the workforce participation rate, the commercial real estate bubble that's going to burst when all these loans come due. I don't know if it's the end of this year or next year. All that empty commercial real estate from COVID, like it goes on and on.
Yeah. I think, I mean, restating sort of macro data points is not particularly compelling, particularly to the cross-section of voters that we're talking about that are meaningful in these battleground states. You have to tell stories. You have to put people in a position of somebody else that they're whose story they're hearing.
What about that black female voter from Philadelphia? She's good.
Telling people about macro circumstances and them trying, to convince them of their own circumstances. I don't think you need to convince people of their own circumstances. I think you need to convince them that you're somebody who's going to improve their circumstances. So, yeah, talking about the prospect of commercial real estate defaults, no. Yeah, it's big picture, it's vision, it's an emotive connection, it's storytelling. It's not data-driven. John in Milwaukee.
Yes, as long as the EBT goes up 9% or the free college tuition is granted, I think that's all they care about. And maybe they ought to have a snitch line for people who have Trump signs on their cars or in their yards. Thank you so much.
Lives of others. We're getting there. Kevin, Austin, Texas.
Good morning, Amy and Dan. What was I going to say? Oh, you forgot the jazz hands. Tim Walz has jazz hands when he goes out on the stage. I think that's why they listen to him.
He does have
He does.
jazz
Like,
hands.
hey,
Yeah, he
shimmer,
does.
shimmer, shimmer. Shout out to the back row.
I think that's what he's doing, and that may be why some people listen to him. I look forward to J.D. Vance in a debate because he's got poise under pressure. He does not get. He seems inflappable when pressed, and how that's going to contrast Tim Walz is going to be amazing. Now we've only got 82 days to stop the spread of socialism, so I hope people get involved. But yeah, the jazz hands. I think that's what it's about.
Or as Tim Walz calls it, neighborliness. 83 days to stop it.
Socialism is neighborliness.
Rich, Indian Head Park.
Good morning, gang. Good morning, Amy. But I don't understand if she keeps telling everybody that she put her record up against anybody. Well, her record is Joe Biden's record. What is she gonna talk about? She can't talk about the withdrawal from Afghanistan or inflation or the border. So what is it that her record is? And as far as this Walz goes, all he is another Kamala Harris. He's the same thing that she was under Biden. He's a yes man. He's a rah-rah guy. That's all he is. He will have nothing to offer the country. And that's about all I have to say. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Rich.
You're listening to Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
It is no coincidence that our present troubles parallel and are proportionate to the intervention and intrusion in our lives that result from unnecessary and excessive growth of government. It is time for us to realize that we're too great a nation to limit ourselves to small dreams. We're not, as some would have us believe, doomed to an inevitable decline. I do not believe in a fate that will fall on us no matter what we do. I do believe in a fate that will fall on us if we do nothing. So with all the creative energy at our command, let us begin an era of national renewal. Let us renew our determination, our courage, and our strength. And let us renew our faith and our hope.
This moment in American history has been brought to you by Earthworks. To learn more today, visit them at earthworksinc.com.
Attention college and university students, introducing 2 brand new revolutionary books published in chemistry and physiology that'll make both easier to understand. The first book, entitled New and Effective Method for Solving General Chemistry Problems, details an amazing method that simplifies chemistry problems down to fractions of multiplication and division. Students, you no longer need to memorize and use any chemical formula. The second book, entitled The Only True Outline of Physiology, reduces an entire 300-page physiology textbook down to 105 pages by eliminating excessive wordage that can be time-consuming and confusing. The Only True Outline of Physiology underlines the information most likely to be asked on exams and helps you better understand the principles of physiology. For more details on either book, visit Zarantos-Publishing.com. Both are available on Amazon or at Zarantos-Publishing.com in a digital format and in print form upon request. Say goodbye to confusing chemistry and physiology content. Get these books today. That's Zarantos-Publishing.com.
Hey, buddy. Good to see you back on the golf course. You must be feeling better, huh?
Yeah, I finally got my blood pressure under control without all the medication side effects.
Wow. New doctor?
No, a superfood juice, believe it or not.
A juice?
Yeah, it's called 120 Life. It's got ingredients like pomegranates, tart cherries, 6 natural ingredients that have shown to control blood pressure.
Huh.
Yeah, it tastes great and has worked wonders.
Awesome. Are you getting a golf cart?
Nope, I'm walking the course today.
Wow. You got any of that 120 Life on you?
Try 120 Life risk-free and get a 2-week trial pack. Order the 8-ounce drink or powdered mix. Go to 120life.com and use coupon code 560 to save 15% and get free shipping. They're so sure it can noticeably lower your blood pressure in 2 weeks, they'll give your money back if you're not satisfied. Order now. 120life.com. Use coupon code 560 at checkout to save 15% and get free shipping.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Are we thinking ourselves into a mental health crisis? We'll discuss that with River Page from the Free Press at 8:08.
But now let's head into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
Brandon Johnson apparently trying to push out the CPS CEO. We'll have details on why. A woman seen on video attacking Frontier Airlines staff at O'Hare. WIND Chicago News Time, 8 o'clock.
Americans shopped more last month. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News, and that has stock futures rising.
July retail sales up a much stronger, solid 1%.
And that's better than expected after sales didn't rise at all in June. Fox Business Network's Lauren Simonetti also reports.
Jobless claims came in lower than expected. 227,000 last week.
A new Fox News poll has the economy the #1 issue for most voters.
Are you better off now with Harris and Biden than you were with a person named President Donald J. Trump? Do you know him? He's a nice gentleman. Nice gentleman.
Well, Democrats don't think he is after the former president also got personal at a rally in Asheville, North Carolina, calling Vice President Harris not smart, making fun of her laugh.
With 4 more years of Harris, your finances will never recover. They're never going to recover.
And the poll also gives the former president a 1-point lead in the race. Today, Vice President Harris will join President Biden at an event in Maryland focused on the economy and lowering prices, and they may tout a new agreement.
The deal is set to lower the prices for Medicare's 10 most popular and most expensive drugs. The White House expects about $1.5 billion in savings on medications and $6 billion in savings for taxpayers. Medications included are used to prevent heart failure or blood clots and treat diabetes, which Medicare spent billions covering last year. New prices will go into effect in 2026 for Medicare Part D prescriptions.
That's Fox's Ryan Schmelz. A new round of talks underway in Qatar, trying again to work out a ceasefire for Gaza. The U.S. and Israel are there. Hamas is not expected to take part. The same day, Palestinian officials report the number of war deaths in Gaza now tops 40,000.
We are still looking closely at the possibility of a 3-phase agreement. The first phase could see up to 33 living hostages released. The deal would end with a reconstruction project for Gaza and support for vulnerable Palestinians affected by the war.
Fox's Trey Yingst in Haifa, Israel. America's listening to Fox News.
Rain showers and 69 degrees at 8:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. A man this morning in critical condition, pulled from Lake Michigan Wednesday evening on the city's south side near 67th Street Beach. First responders were able to pull a 34-year-old man out of the water, rushed to the nearby University of Chicago Medical Center. Just days before the DNC opens up in Chicago, there are fresh concerns over cybersecurity after a recent report said it found some DNC data and credentials on a dark web hacking service. Meantime, Illinois Democrats say they're getting fired up for next week's DNC.
When they come here next week from every state in the United States and all of the press from all over the world, you know what they're going to see? They're going to see a state where Democrats deliver.
Governor Pritzker and other Democrats rallied yesterday at the Illinois State Fair in Springfield. Republicans will rally today. Mayor Brandon Johnson, according to reporting from the Chicago Sun-Times, is attempting to shove out the head of the Chicago Public Schools. The Sun-Times reporting that Johnson's administration is trying to lay the groundwork to push out Pedro Martinez, the CPS CEO. It comes after Martinez clashed with the mayor's office and the CTU over how to deal with a massive budget deficit. Chicago sports, Cubs lost to Cleveland 6-1, while the White Sox surrendered 3 home runs and a 10-2 loss to the Yankees. The news service of Blue Stars Security. Support our police and hire the police to personally protect you and your business. Visit online to schedule a free security consultation at bluestarsecurityllc.com. 8:04. Time for the AM 560 Business Beat. It is a service of Signature Bank. Visit signaturebank.bank for all your commercial banking needs. Now the latest from the Fox Business Network.
I'm Charles Payne, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Walmart's quarter is better than expected. Both earnings and revenue were upbeat. Sales increased and its customers were spending more. Walmart says it is not seeing signs of consumers being stressed, and it's raising expectations for the year. Walmart shares are up more than 7%. Deere & Company shares are rallying, up 5% after the farm and construction machinery maker reported upbeat earnings, even though sales declined 17%. Deere has been cutting jobs and pulling back production to meet customer demand. Chief Executive John May says the results show its disciplined execution in the face of challenging conditions in global agriculture and construction. Dillard's shares are lower. The department store chain's earnings were disappointing. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Ginny Coselda, invested in you.
AM 560 news time is 8:05. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Charlie Kirk explores the VP choice.
Now, on paper, you'd think that a Midwestern governor like Tim Walz, he's like a folksy Midwesterner, served as a member of Congress, governor of Minnesota. He's the safe pick. He's the safe pick if you want to now be described as the most liberal ticket in American history. It's effectively like choosing Bernie Sanders, and that is not an exaggeration.
The Charlie Kirk Show. Afternoons at 1, right before Sebastian Gorka at 3 on AM 560. The Answer.
Join Allie Beth Stuckey and the Illinois Family Institute for the Faith, Family, and Freedom Banquet, 7 p.m. Friday, September 6th at the Tinley Park Convention Center. For tickets, go to illinoisfamily.org.
Christianity brings civilization, goodness.
Allie Beth Stuckey, wife, mom, author, followed by thousands on her hit Relatable podcast. Hear her fresh and firm call for Christians to lead in Illinois, in America, for faith, family, and freedom. For tickets, go to illinoisfamily.org.
Christians have always been on the front lines of human progress, set in love.
Allie Beth Stuckey and the Illinois Family Institute's Faith, Family, and Freedom Banquet, Friday, September 6th at the Tinley Park Convention Center. For tickets, go to illinoisfamily.org. illinoisfamily.org.
The following is a paid political announcement.
Illinois and Wisconsin patriots, come out to the greatest Trump rally of 2024. Support President Trump and help save the American dream. Join thousands of great Americans as we rally for Trump on Sunday, August 18th, the day before the Democratic Convention, from noon to 6 at the McHenry County Fairgrounds. It's an afternoon of music, fun, and messages from many of President Trump's most trusted advisors and closest friends, including Charlie Kirk, General Flynn, Steve Moore, and Kimberly Fletcher of Moms for America. Your MCs for the event will be me, Gary Rabine, and Sean Thompson. There will be many surprises, more all-star speakers, and well-known music groups to come. Join us as we rally for President Trump at the McHenry County Fairgrounds on Sunday, August 18th from noon to 6. Get your tickets now at paradingfortrump.com. That's paradingfortrump.com. Profits go to efforts to elect Trump as our 47th president. Paid for by the American Dream PAC. Thank you to our sponsors, Rabine America and Peerless Fence.
Are you ready to smell better naked? I'm Dr. Shannon Klingman, the OBGYN creator of Lumi, the whole body deodorant that's clinically proven to control odor for 72 hours on pits, feet, and beyond. It's pH optimized to safely and effectively control odor anywhere you have it, but wish you didn't. Plus, it's proven to work better than a shower with soap alone. Whether you shower twice a day or 3 times a week, Lumi works better. And who doesn't want zero body odor? With over 200,000 5-star reviews, I'm so sure you're going to love it, or you can return it for free.
There's a special offer for listeners. Use code BETTER and get 15% off your first purchase with code BETTER, like the Lumi Starter Pack, Acidified Body Wash, or new Lumi Plus Sweat Control. That's LUME deodorant.com, code BETTER for 15% off your first purchase. Love it or return it for free. That's LUME deodorant.com, code BETTER to save 15% today.
It's 8:08. Let's check the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. A service of Health Insurance Mentors. Call Stephen Tucker today for free Medicare advice. Visit healthinsurancementors.com or call 630-674-1551. Healthinsurancementors.com. LaGrange, an accident. Ogden, just east of LaGrange Road. Addison, report of an accident, Lake and Kennedy Drive. Bloomingdale, an accident, Rosedale and Schick. Glen Ellen, an accident at Geneva Road. And Western, delays on the South Shore line this morning. That Metro Commuter line eastbound from Millennium Station is seeing big delays this morning. Route 53, report of an accident northbound right before Lake Cook Road. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Steve Williams.
Lots of clouds, a breezy day, humid, not as warm, a shower and a heavy thunderstorm. We could see some flash flooding. High today 78. Clouds and breezy tonight, humid, shower and thunderstorm, low 69. Clouds and sun, straight thunderstorm for tomorrow, humid and warm, the high 86. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Light rain crossing the area, 68 at O'Hare, 67 in Aurora, 70 Lakefront. Your next news update is at 8:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
On top of the morning, Dan and Amy, something our next guest wrote has led me to have some concerns about J.D. Vance. He wrote a piece about the phony couch accusation directed at Vance that he had intimate relations with a couch.
Do you know how many people thought that was real?
Same number of people who think that Tampon Tim is a horse semen guzzler.
Yeah. Well, we did have fun with that because we knew that was probably fake, but that story's been going around for a while.
Mm-hmm.
According to my friends in Minnesota.
That didn't concern me. What concerns me, his playlists on Spotify.
Uh-oh, what now?
J.D. Vance seems to be experiencing a regression in his musical taste, because I understand from earlier playlists that have been identified under J.D. Vance on Spotify, I should say. Playlists included Johnny Cash, Old Crow Medicine Show. He had an entire playlist dedicated to Otis Redding, Marvin Gaye, Aretha Franklin, so he liked Motown.
Mm-hmm.
But then later playlists, and this is, I think, post Yale Law School or towards the end of Yale Law School, so you should have known better. He was on his playlist, Justin Bieber,
Oh, I love Justin Bieber.
Yeah, well, that's not helping. Backstreet Boys.
I mean,
Death Cab for Cutie.
kind of retro now, right? Justin Bieber, Backstreet Boys. What's old is new.
I don't know. I'm the boy.
You're very concerned about this.
Well, the boy band thing is troubling.
At least it's not 90 degrees.
90 degrees.
Or what's that one?
98 degrees.
98 degrees.
Yeah.
So hip into the boy band. Yes.
Yeah.
Love the boy bands.
Well, I don't know. I don't know what I'm supposed to read into it. I just feel like, in the interest of full disclosure, we have to tackle. We have to, expose candidates for high office. I mean, he's a heartbeat away from the presidency, could be, and he's listening to Backstreet Boys.
Well, some people like to have a little fun. It's all right.
River Page is a reporter at the Free Press. He joins us now. River, thanks for being with us. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. Yeah, this country will see my social security number before they'll see my Spotify playlist. You got to keep those things private.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, it's a mistake, but everything comes out when you're a national candidate. So this was inevitably going to come out. I mean, do you think having Of Monsters and Men on your Spotify playlist, do you think that's disqualifying?
I mean, for a heterosexual man, maybe.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I don't know.
See?
I'm gay, so I can have whatever on there, and people are a little more forgiving. But
Well, you're even in a better position to make that judgment call then. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, very good. Something else I wanted to get to on a little bit more serious note, if we could. This piece that you wrote about this indie film, this indie, I guess it's a documentary, right? Called "Thank You for Sharing."
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, just I mean, sort of. It was interesting because of your own the sort of an anecdote about yourself that you shared, and then it sort of leads into a discussion of the documentary, which is something that's sort of that Abigail Schreier has taken up too, which is as much as we talk about the spike in mental health issues among young people, particularly coming out of the lockdowns during COVID. We're still, one of the things we need to be careful is that we don't get too far over our skis and overdiagnose mental illness. And maybe that's where we're at in this country right now.
Yeah, totally. And we actually just hired Abigail. She's a columnist for us now at the Free Press, and she's fantastic. But yeah, the documentary is called "Thank You for Sharing." It's about overdiagnosis, various mental health conditions, and in some ways, like how the focus on mental health and mental health awareness broadly, just like this big idea that there is a mental health crisis and we're all living in it, and that you have this bucket of symptoms that everybody can like sort of pick and choose from. In some ways, it's like sort of making things worse, making people focus more and more on themselves and their like fleeting emotions and maybe their quirks or whatever. And it's really it seems to be making us more mentally ill. There is a paradox that's been described in various psychological literature called like the in the document they call it the mental health paradox. I believe the actual name of it is like the treatment
prevalence
paradox.
Prevalence paradox.
Yeah, you've got it in front of you.
Yeah.
And it's basically the idea is that people in like the psychology field cannot figure out why, even though treatments are going up, people are still getting more and more progressively mentally ill. Something like 47% of Gen Z have a diagnosed mental illness. So it's just getting worse and worse with time. There's various different metrics you can look at.
47% of Gen Z have a diagnosed mental illness.
Yes.
Wow.
I mean, that's so and part of this is as you talk about is the criteria to establish that diagnosis. It's gotten gooier and gooier, more open-ended and more open-ended, and all the incentives are to make the diagnosis.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I started with an anecdote of mine when I was in college. I lived with a psychology major, and she like caught me reading like some weird article about like Uzbek cotton exports, which was like it was like some rabbit hole I found on the internet, and she asked me if I'd ever been tested for autism, like high functioning autism. And she started listening. She was like, well, sometimes you don't make eye contact, and sometimes you don't, whatever. And I was like, I'm fine. But, like, it did give me, a sort of anxiety about it. I started looking into it and, all this other stuff. And it's not that. I was a shy kid. I've gotten over that with time. I'm sort of, curious, and I do, find, sort of niche, strange things that I'm interested in. But, I mean, that's probably why I have a career in journalism. These things can actually be good in certain fields, and people are different inherently, and that doesn't necessarily mean there's something wrong with them. But there's a sense where people tend to pathologize almost everything now. So if you're shy, that's no longer a personality trait. That's social anxiety disorder, right?
Yeah,
right.
Right. If you are, maybe a little bit more curious than the average person, a little bit more awkward, that can be, a sign of autism. And I mean, the guy, one of the doctors who helped broaden the sort of diagnosis for autism in the 90s, he's actually come out and said that he regrets doing it. He thinks it was a mistake. He thinks that there's a lot of people now who are just being diagnosed with autism who don't have autism. Maybe they have something else, or they have actually nothing wrong with them. It's just normal human variation. So I mean, I think it's a big problem. You can see it a lot too with diagnosis of major depressive disorder, where they're if you have any of these emotions, and if you look through it, I mean, it's stuff that almost everybody has felt at some point in their life. And they're if you have this for more than 2 weeks, that means that it's major depressive disorder, when really it could just be something that's going on in your life. The things in your life aren't going the way you want them to, and instead of getting on an SSRI, maybe there are changes that you can make, or maybe you just have to write it out. Sometimes you have to accept that there are things in your life you can't change. And
yeah,
well,
and
did you go to a doctor?
These are normal problems. These turn out to be mundane problems of growing up.
Right. And I mean, if you've ever been around, I've had members of my family who had extreme mental illness, bipolar disorder, schizophrenia. If you've ever been around genuine mental illness, it's something that most people can recognize. You don't even have to really go to a professional to know that something's very wrong. And of course there are exceptions to that, but I think that there was a time where people were more resilient. They were able to, they had a better understanding of themselves, and they also viewed things less in terms of the optimum, sort of goal in your life as being happy. People used to think that the point of their lives was to be a good person. We used to be more sort of communal, sort of spiritual people. It's a very individualistic, secular society now, and people think that the point of their lives is to be happy, and they find that they're not very good at being happy all the time, because being happy is a very fleeting emotion. And so I think that's also a big problem.
Well, right. And the other part of it, 47% of Gen Z with a diagnosed mental disorder. I mean, that's absurd. And it also speaks to a social contagion as part of this, right? Part of the culture also is in the direction of, number one, it celebrates victim status, particularly manufactured victim status. And it also absolves personal responsibility. I'm not responsible for this or for that, for not doing my homework because I suffered some childhood trauma when my dad told me to make my bed every morning, and so I'm still trying to recover from the toxic masculinity that polluted my upbringing or something. I mean, this you see this all the time. These phony traumas with respect, but because we celebrate the victim, you beget more of this.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Actually, I just think it's 42%, not 47%. But
well,
that's still terrible.
I mean, that's
still way too much. Yeah.
Yeah.
Abigail Schreier's new book, Bad Therapy, talks a lot about trauma and how the definition of that. I mean, it used to be very this was the documentary talks about this as well. Is the idea of something like PTSD emerged from emerged during like World War I when they were trying to explain what they called back then shell shock. Which,
Right.
I mean, you were dealing like with people who had been in combat being shot at, and that's a very different sort of experience than anything, even like a really like bad thing that you might encounter in your life, like having like an alcoholic, verbally abusive parent. I mean, that's not good for a kid. That doesn't mean that they're like going to have the same sort of like symptoms as a World War I veteran, right? It's just kind of
right. But according to your article, once your roommate said this to you, you couldn't stop reading about autism. How did you break that cycle?
I honestly, at some point I just kind of came to the realization that like if there is something wrong with me, that it hasn't really held me back in any way. And I mean, to be quite honest, I'm sort of lucky in a way that I wasn't super privileged. I was working like 2 jobs when I went to college. My parents didn't bankroll me or anything. And I just kind of got distracted by other things in my life, quite frankly. It was like, well, I can't let this hold me back. And I think in some ways that was kind of a blessing that I didn't had time to just sit around and stew about it.
Right. I can't let this hold me back, and because there is no this. I mean, that's part of the point.
There is no this, and even if there was, I don't have time to deal with it. So.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, well, the other thing though too, just in terms of the incentives, the way this industry works, and it's an industry that's full of fraudsters. But you have trial lawyers too. Trial lawyers are a problem because now you've incentivized these people to identify as victims and say, I looked on WebMD and I've got all the symptoms of somebody with chronic depression, self-diagnosis. Then I go to an actual professional, say, I think I'm depressed. And their incentive is to, well, okay, and here's a prescription. So they indemnify themselves against any harm, self-harm that may come to a patient. So it's, in other words, if he says so, I'm just here to confirm it, because if I confirm it, then at least I insulate myself from, a malpractice case. If this kid really is depressed and he would do some harm to himself or others, I can say, well, I treated him and that's the most I could do. I upheld my professional obligations.
Yeah, that I actually discovered that in a review of Abigail Schreier's book, where a psychologist was reviewing the book and basically said, well, I can't really take Abigail Schreier's advice and tell a kid to, walk it off, even if I think maybe they should, because, I could open myself up to malpractice lawsuits. And, I mean, I think that might be something that laws would have to be involved to change that. Because, I mean, it is in some ways like an understandable position from,
Yeah.
It would be terrible. I mean, it would be terrible to like make that mistake and like lose a patient, but it would also be, but then if it destroys your entire career and your entire life, I mean, if I were in that position, I would probably just give the kid an SSRI too. So, I think something like there needs to be like a national conversation about this. I think that there are going to have to be reforms that are passed. Like, I'm not sure exactly whether, you can do that through federal guidance or through laws or insurance companies or however it gets done. But like, there has to be some sort of conversation about, when recognizing overtreatment as a problem and a form of mispractice in and of itself, sometimes.
Yeah, well, civil justice reform is a big part of the answer to that question. But River Page, he's a reporter at the Free Press. River, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thank you, and he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
It's news, opinion, insight. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Hey, I'm going to let you in on a wireless hack that can cut your cell phone bill in half. Verizon, AT&T, and T-Mobile, they want you to think that unlimited data is fantastic. Well, the fact is, it's not. Pure Talk, my cell phone company, only charges you for data that you need. With just $25 a month, you get unlimited talk, unlimited text, 5 gigs of data, plus mobile hotspot. Just dial pound 250, say the keyword save now, and do it now. You'll save an additional 50% off your first month. Save money, same service with Pure Talk.
The doctor's office that mixed up your files has your Social Security number. The power company that mistakenly cut your service has your payment info and last 3 addresses. Your info is in endless places that could accidentally expose your info to identity theft. That's why LifeLock monitors millions of data points every second. If your identity's stolen, they'll fix it guaranteed or your money back. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code CLAY at LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
Hello, this is Franklin Graham. Does it feel like the world is coming apart at the seams? It does to me. What do we do as Christians? Do we just sit back and let it happen, just waiting for Christ to return, and we just sit on our hands? No, we don't do that. He's called us to action. He's called us to take the gospel to the ends of the earth, and that's what we do. At Samaritan's Purse we go, and we go in Jesus' name, whether it's with a truck full of shoebox gifts or an army of volunteers ready to help wherever they can, or whether we fill up one of our cargo planes and respond to the far corners of this earth. Wherever there is a need, we go and we help in Jesus' name. Don't just sit back and wait for Jesus to return. You have one life. Make it count.
You can be a part of taking the gospel to the ends of the earth. To find out more about Samaritan's Purse and how you can be involved, go to SamaritansPurse.org. That's SamaritansPurse.org.
Well, I think it's time we ask ourselves if we still know the freedoms that were intended for us by the Founding Fathers. Not too long ago, 2 friends of mine were talking to a Cuban refugee, a businessman who had escaped from Castro. And in the midst of his story, one of my friends turned to the other and said, "We don't know how lucky we are." And the Cuban stopped and said, "How lucky you are. I had some place to escape to." And in that sentence, he told us the entire story. If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth. And this idea that government is beholden to the people, that it has no other source of power except the sovereign people, is still the newest and the most unique idea in all the long history of man's relation to man. This moment in American history has been brought to you by Earthworks. Learn more today at earthworksinc.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy mentioned that John Legend is going to be performing at a concert that will be sponsored by Jelly Belly's Beard, MK. This during the convention next week. But also, it's not the only featured musical act. Bit of a sing-along opportunity for those going to the New Bolshevik Party convention. This group of 1960s refugees for Kamala has a catchy little ditty that they're offering up.
We're not going back. We're not going back. Just like a tree that's planted by the water. We're not going back. Voting for our freedoms, we're not going back.
Hey.
Control of our own bodies, we're not going back. Just like a tree
That's planted by the water. We're not going back. Sing it!
Voting for our sisters, we're not going back. Voting for our brothers, we're not going back. Just like a tree that's planted by the water. We're not going back. Voting for our daughters, we're not going back. Voting for their future,
We're not going back.
just like a tree
That's planted by the water.
we're not going.
Shut up for a second, please.
And you won't be surprised to learn that all those ladies look like Steve Dahl.
Okay.
Ripping off Psalm 46, by the way.
Yeah. Well,
that's right.
Which is where the song actually comes from.
Well,
I will not be moved.
Very good. Very good, Mike. This will be featured at Amy's church this
I
weekend.
think we
You can
already
be
sang
sure.
it. We did go
Yeah.
over some. 46, not Psalm 47.
Are you going to be singing it in the context of the 2024 election?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
We'll dispense with the lesbian sing-alongs and turn our attention to matters on the campaign trail with Michael Goodwin from the New York Post at 8:38.
But now let's hit that newsroom. We're not going back. Here's Mike Scott.
8:32, 68 degrees. We've had light rain showers throughout the morning. Another shakeup in the Ivy League. Columbia University president Minouche Shafik resigning this morning. Shafik has dealt with major controversy related to anti-Jewish sentiment on campus since the attack by Hamas terrorists last October. Former President Donald Trump laying out plans for the economy if he's elected to the White House in November.
We will target everything from car affordability to housing affordability to insurance costs to supply chain issues. We have the worst supply chain we've ever had in the history of the country.
During a rally yesterday in Asheville, North Carolina, Trump saying he'll sign an executive order directing his cabinet to bring down inflation.
Just so you know, they stopped it, and it was terrible what they did. That's what caused the whole problem in the country, even with supply chains. I mean, it just caused a problem. And then they said, go back to the Trump plan now. Now they're drilling. But the day after the election, if they win this election, the drilling stops.
He adds he'll commit to slashing energy prices in half, he says, within 18 months. Republican vice presidential candidate J.D. Vance will be in western Pennsylvania this morning. He'll speak with veterans. The Ohio senator and Marine Corps vet will deliver remarks at a VFW. Hunter Biden is hiring the highest of high-profile criminal defense attorneys to represent him in his tax evasion trial. Mark Garagos has represented everyone from the Menendez brothers to Michael Jackson. Ceasefire negotiations over the war in Gaza continue in Qatar today. Amidst fears of new fighting in the Middle East, there is a possibility of a three-phase agreement, but Hamas seems to be balking. The founder of the famous Amos cookie firm has died. Wally Amos was 88. Amos successfully launched his cookie empire after opening a bakery on Hollywood Sunset Boulevard in 1975. A man is in critical condition after being pulled from Lake Michigan Wednesday night on the city's south side. The water rescue took place near the 67th Street beach, and that 34-year-old was rushed to nearby University of Chicago Hospital. And the family of Sonia Massey and their attorneys are pushing for legislation in the state that would add even more regulations and layers to the Pritzker administration's Safety Act. The legislation created by progressive Democrats in Springfield would create a national database for police officers that would include infractions like DUIs.
When you consider that Sean Grayson had 2 DUI convictions, if Sean Grayson wanted to visit Canada, if he wanted to visit the beautiful cities of Toronto or Montreal, he wouldn't be allowed to do so.
The measure is designed to prevent the hiring of officers like former Sangamon County Sheriff Deputy Sean Grayson. Attorney Ben Crump wants state legislation tied to federal legislation that is stalled in Congress. Cubs lost to Cleveland 6-1, while the White Sox were hammered by the Yankees 10-2. The news is a service of almostfreeteeth.com. Overpaying for dental implants is over. If you have a Blue Cross Blue Shield PPO or FEP, you could save almost 90% on average to get your smile back. Learn more and check if you qualify at almostfreeteeth.com. And a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Wow, she loves it. Hi, Amy Jacobson here, and I'm talking about a woman that I met at the pool. Arthritis robbed her of so much, but there's effective ways to deal with that pain without drugs or surgery. She went to QC Kinetics. They use cutting-edge treatments that accelerate your own body's healing properties, revitalizes your joints so you can move again. So if you're living with chronic pain like my new friend I met at the pool, you need to know that steroids and surgery and pain pills no longer your only option. Learn how QC Kinetics can use advanced regenerative medicine to treat the pain, enhance your joints, and restore your mobility, and give you long-term relief with no downtime. Call them today for a free consultation They'll walk you through the process, tell you how it all works. They have new locations in Crystal Lake and Gurnee, and Saturday appointments are available. 312-809-5955. Write it down, 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955.
Right now, Bettenhausen has 0% on new Jeeps during the Make This the Summer event at Bettenhausen Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, now open on 159th Street in Lockport. Celebrate summer with a new Jeep. Bettenhausen has 0% financing available on new Jeep Cherokees, new Jeep Wranglers, or new Jeep Compasses. Hurry into Bettenhausen in Lockport. Your best Jeep buying experience starts now at Bettenhausen. Showroom open 24/7 at cdjroflockport.com.
Do you have jewelry with sentimental value that needs repairing? Hi, it's Mike Gallagher. I'm a customer of family-owned Roland's Jewelers in downtown Libertyville because it's a place I trust. Their in-house master jeweler does impeccable work, and jewelry comes back repaired in perfect condition and looks the same as the day you bought it. That's a great feeling. Roland's also specializes in custom design. They'll work with you every step of the way to make your dream jewelry idea come to life. The Rollins family is expertly trained to give you outstanding customer service, earning 5-star Google ratings. Now that's impressive. Visit Rollins Jewelers' beautiful showroom in downtown Libertyville for all of your jewelry needs. Visit RollandsJewelers.com. That's ROLLANDS Jewelers.com, or call or text them at 847-918-7300. 847-918-7300. Rollins Jewelers, a family-owned jeweler you can trust.
Attention college and university students, introducing 2 brand new revolutionary books published in chemistry and physiology that'll make both easier to understand. The first book, entitled New and Effective Method for Solving General Chemistry Problems, details an amazing method that simplifies chemistry problems down to fractions of multiplication and division. Students, you no longer need to memorize and use any chemical formula. The second book, entitled The Only True Outline of Physiology, reduces an entire 300-page physiology textbook down to 105 pages by eliminating excessive wordage that can be time-consuming and confusing. The Only True Outline of Physiology underlines the information most likely to be asked on exams and helps you better understand the principles of physiology. For more details on either book, visit Zarantos-Publishing.com. Both are available on Amazon or at Zarantos-Publishing.com in a digital format and in print form upon request. Say goodbye to confusing chemistry and physiology content. Get these books today. That's Zarantos-Publishing.com.
This hourly segment is sponsored by Protecting Your Assets with Steve Shyman. Listen Saturday mornings at 8. Learn more at willsave.com.
840, check of the roads in the Team Hochberg Traffic Center. This update is a service of Qdoba. Steak it up a notch with the new habanero lime steak from Qdoba. Grilled steak in habanero sauce, lime juice, fresh cilantro. The perfect hint of heat to spice up your entree. Here for a limited time only. Order at Qdoba.com or download that app. Kennedy, 83 heavy minutes O'Hare into the Burn Circle interchange. You've got an accident left shoulder approaching California. The Ike, stop and go, Cicero to 9th Avenue on the outbound side. It's 41 out to Manheim. Stevenson delays inbound between the Tri-State and the Des Plaines River Bridge. An accident on the outbound Stevenson at Central. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Now your official Chicagoland weather forecast. Showers and heavy storms today, high 78. Humid, maybe a shower overnight, low 69. Currently light rain and 68. Your next news update is at 9. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So Trump was in North Carolina talking about the economy. Translating the macroeconomy to the micro impact, obviously focusing on inflation and what that's doing to Americans' ability to maintain their quality of life. This is what he said. By the way, Kamala will be following in North Carolina to follow up on what he said.
Does anyone here feel richer under Kamala Harris than Crooked Joe, than you were during the Trump administration? Is anything less expensive under Kamala Harris and Crooked Joe? I mean, we had inflation that I don't believe we've ever had inflation like that. You can go back a long way. Are you better off now with Harris and Biden than you were with a person named President Donald J. Trump? Do you know him? He's a nice gentleman. Nice gentleman.
I love when he goes third person.
Kamala, of course, has already unveiled her plan to combat inflation and reduce the pressure on Americans' pocketbooks. She did that way back when with those heady gals on The View.
What else are you going to do to fix this problem with inflation?
All right, thank you. Well, let's start with this. Prices have gone up, and families and individuals are dealing with the realities of that bread costs more, that gas costs
bread,
more.
Yeah. It's bread that's
And
really
we have to
getting
understand what that means.
Means it costs
That's
more.
about the cost of living
Yeah.
going up.
Right.
That's
Food.
about having to stress and stretch
you're on a
limited
fixed budget,
resources.
girl. Yeah.
That's about a source of stress for families that is not only economic, but is on a daily level, something that is a heavy weight to carry. So it is something that we take very seriously. Very seriously.
What-
And we know from the history of this issue in the United States that when you see these prices go up, it has a direct impact on the quality of life
You
for
said
all
that.
people in our country.
Yeah, you said that
So it's a
already.
big issue, and we
Yeah.
take it seriously. And it is a priority, therefore.
I mean, this is so insincere, no empathy. Honestly, she's not a person who really
no empathy.
like she doesn't care what American people are going
What
through.
is your approach to inflation? And she talks about what inflation is. So inflation is prices increase, and when prices increase, people who have to pay more for the same things, and that puts stress on them. Yeah, I know. We all know what that is. Well, we take it seriously, and something we're very focused on. I mean,
from day one, she said she's going to tackle inflation.
See, this is why it's so important to get her on a debate stage, because she's either going to give, she's either going to have to regurgitate canned responses, and it's going to come across that way. And if Trump is agile on his feet, which he can be, then he should be able to seize upon that. Or she's not going to remember what to say, and she's going to give you something like that, to which Trump should look at her the way that he looked at Biden in that June debate. For more on all this, we're pleased to be joined by Michael Goodwin, who is, of course, New York Post columnist. Michael, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
My pleasure, guys. Thank you.
So the Trump messaging, a lot of Trump world concerned about Kamala's surge, if you will, since she entered the race, and now you got the convention this week, and it'll all be, smiles and happiness, and maybe she'll get a couple more point bump here and there. And so a lot of, punditocracy commentary on Trump's messaging, and he needs to just focus on my record on what things were like with prices at the pump and prices at the grocery store and border security and what we were doing, the extricating ourselves from foreign entanglements versus what we've had over the last 4 years. And Kamala Harris has obviously been a partner in that, even as she tries to make a clean break from the administration she's a part of. I mean, is that your handle on what Trump should be doing? And if so, how is he doing on that matter?
I think that pretty much sums it up. It's really about the record. It's about the policies that created that record. When I look at the Harris situation, I see kind of a doubly rich target. The first being what she did prior to becoming vice president. The policy she advocated, the policy she followed in California and in the Senate, the things she said and did in the Senate. of course, her campaign for president, largely 2019, where she said some really wacky things about what she would do as president. You know, the ban on fracking, all of that kind of stuff. You know, one national health care system. So those things are all on videotape, or they're all recorded somewhere, and they make by themselves a very rich target. The second part, of course, is what the Biden administration has done, and those policies that she's now trying to duck. But it's very interesting. In this week alone, Susan Rice and Karine Jean-Pierre both said something to the effect that, oh, no, Kamala was part of everything. She was integral.
Yes, right.
There's no daylight between her and Biden on these policies. Well, I think that's also something that Trump can use to paint this picture of her as being too radical, far too radical to trust in the Oval Office. And I think that if he goes beyond that kind of comparison, that's where he gets in trouble. When he starts to wander into the weeds of gender and race and name-calling and belittling, you don't need to go there. You have such a politically rich contrast between your record and hers. And don't forget, the Biden policies were very unpopular. And that Joe Biden was in re-election trouble before the debate debacle. And it was largely over those policies. So hopefully Trump is learned his lesson, because he's given back his lead. Now, some of that has to do with the natural enthusiasm that Harris created for the Democrats, who were so dispirited over Biden. But I think fundamentally this race is back to where it was and would always be, which is a kind of 50-50 fight. And I think we're seeing that in the national polls as well as in the battleground states.
Well, but eventually, I mean, she's 3 weeks down. She's got 12 more weeks to go. And this avoidance campaign that she's doing is working for her. Does she even need to talk to the media? I mean, they're asking, she's not even doing a sit-down one-on-one. What media journalists are asking for is just a press conference. I mean, she is the vice president.
Right. She can't, she needs her teleprompter, right? It's her teddy bear. And it will, at some point, she's going to have to do that, whether it's just the debate or there will be some Sunday shows for the leftist outlets that she'll agree to do. And I don't really expect them to give her a hard time. I mean, they're on the team. They've made that clear. I mean, you just read the daily scroll of news and opinion. It's amazing. I was reading something about PolitiFact on how J.D. Vance has been misleading about Tim Walz's military record.
Oh, come on.
Well, he didn't mislead about the record. He condemned the lies. It's not about the service, as Vance has made abundantly clear. It's about the misrepresentations that Walz clearly engaged in for many, many years. So it's that kind of thing that Trump is up against. And that's why, all the more reason why he has to stick to a focused campaign. He can't freelance too much, because that's when he gets into the weeds.
Well, and it really puts a fine point on that debates, and she hasn't agreed to any of the other debates other than the one on September 10th for two reasons. I mean, one is, the point of her flip-flopping is not just to point out her hypocrisy. It's to get her in a position where she has to explain the basis for the 180 on this issue, and then the next issue, and the next issue. You have to offer an explanation. You can change your mind, but you have to explain why you did it, because it's an indication of who you serve or are suggesting you're going to serve. And the second reason it's so important is because it's 8 days before he's sentenced in Manhattan, and he's got to have a way to frame being sentenced to prison time.
Yeah, that's a rude interruption in the campaign, and that will be a test for the Democrats as well. I mean, is this judge really going to take the Republican nominee off the trail and lock him up in the middle of in the bottom part of the race? I mean,
he's not going to lock him up, but he's going to sentence him to prison time, and that's and again, now you have these
another label.
You have these passive voters, right? He's a convicted felon that's been sentenced to prison time, and then the kind of questions we were just talking about this with Andy McCarthy earlier in the show. The kind of questions that we've been kicking around for a long time. Now the people that are barely sentient. But are still going to vote. I'm going to be like, well, does that mean that he can't serve, or that if he was elected, he would have to be the president from prison and this and that? And it just creates more uncertainty that can't be helpful to Trump.
No, every mention, the headline discussion of that issue just paints him in the way that the Democrats have been wanting to paint him this entire time. I mean, look, I hope history is fair to the scandals of the Joe Biden administration. People have never caught up to the fact, most people I should say, that Biden made it very clear he wanted Trump prosecuted. The president of the United States singled out his opponent for prosecution, and the attorney general saluted and delivered. The connection between Fani Willis and the White House, between Alvin Bragg and the lead prosecutor in his case, who left the Justice Department to go work for the Manhattan District Attorney on this case. All of these things, I think, in the light of history, if they are ever properly fleshed out, will be such a stain on the Biden administration and the media that it will be almost like, wow, that really happened in the United States.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you have
by that time, his bust will be on Mount Rushmore with Nancy Pelosi driving that train. Yeah,
he's going to personally chisel it in.
Yeah, right.
But what's amazing is that, and these things continue. I mean, the New York Times finally had a story the other day on Hunter Biden lobbying the American ambassador in Israel to help Burisma. How many times did that happen? And the Biden administration withheld that information. They are withholding still the Robert Hur audio tapes of Joe Biden's interview with her over, which obviously must show Biden far more forgetful and incoherent than even the transcript shows. So you have all of these things that have been covered up. And I just wonder how we're ever going to get the full truth of the corruption of Hunter Biden and his father and of the attempt to prosecute Trump. These are extraordinary events historically, but we're acting as though, they're just sort of routine business. They're not.
Michael Goodwin, New York Post columnist. Michael, thanks as always. Appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you both.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
The stories you need to know to start your day. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
For anyone with everyday aches and pains, I've got a question. What are you missing out on? Probably a lot. So let me tell you about Relief Factor. Relief Factor is a drug-free daily supplement that helps your body fight pain naturally. It doesn't just mask pain, it helps reduce or even eliminate it. In about 3 weeks, you'll discover what it's like to feel better. Go to relieffactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF and save on your first order. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF.
Madame Giselle senses something big coming.
Is it a career change?
Everything looks wet.
I'm going to be a swim teacher.
There's a roof.
A swim teacher who also does roofing.
No, the roof of your RV has a leak and it's ruining the furniture.
Oh, that's okay. I'm covered by Progressive. But maybe I'm a swim teaching roofer who makes furniture.
Customize your coverage with Progressive's Roof Protection Plus and be prepared for the unexpected. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Roof Protection Plus available for RVs less than 6 years old. $250 deductible applies to any claim.
Smoke fumes and dust are a nuisance your business can do without, causing health hazards for employees and possible EPA problems for your company. If you need help cleaning up these problems, call a company that has the expertise and capability to help.
Hi, I'm Dave Van Camp, president of Vans Industrial. I've got over 40 years of personal experience in dealing with smoke fumes and dust emissions, and I can help you eliminate these problems from your plant. Contact Vans for a no-cost evaluation of your system, and we will size equipment, design hoods and ductwork for a complete turnkey solution.
Vans uses only the best and safest union-trained mechanics, insured at the highest levels to perform the job right. Call 833-VANS-IND to schedule your ventilation inspection today. That's 833-VANSIND. You can also visit them online at vansindustrial.com. That's VANSindustrial.com. Vans Industrial, working safe since 1964.
Oil investments involve a high degree of risk and actual results may vary.
The price of gas and oil remains strong, and Goldman Sachs predicts the growth in demand to keep growing for years to come. Get in on the next major oil boom now and help the U.S. become more energy independent while utilizing your tax savings for 2024. Your patriotic investment may generate monthly income for up to 20 or more years. That's the sound of a producing oil well and the sound of a smart investment. If you are an SEC accredited investor and can make a $200,000 investment, you can deduct nearly 100% of this investment in 2024. Call 1-800-278-7455. Investing in Encore Energy is an operator direct investment in horizontal oil drilling and production technology in an area of proven production where more than 100 wells have been drilled. Call now and learn how to deduct 100% of your investment for 2024. Call 1-800-278-7455. That's 1-800-278-7455.
From breaking news and weather across the country to insight from the brightest minds in conservative opinion, it's Salem News Channel. Home to the biggest shows on TV, like Sebastian Gorka, weekdays at 3 p.m. Eastern, followed by Stacey Washington at 5. Join SNC, where facts are sacred, critical thinking is celebrated, and the pursuit of truth is unwavering. Watch Salem News Channel free now on Zumo Play. Learn more at snc.tv/Zumo.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, thanks so much for making us part of your morning, part of your lives. Thanks for texting and calling in. We appreciate you. Thanks to George Hoffman, who's in for Justin, and Quinn McCarthy, our executive producer. Now let's head into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
Rain showers crossing the area, causing some major problems on the roadways. We'll detail that in traffic in just a moment. Illinois Democrats rally at the state fair, and apparently Mayor Brandon Johnson is attempting to push out his CPS CEO. WIND Chicago News Time, 9.
Rising sales lead to rising stocks. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. The Dow's up almost 400 points. It's gained back all the big losses in the Monday plunge last week and then some, as Fox's Janika Solo reports.
Americans continued to buy things last month, even with signs of the economy weakening. Retail sales rose a full 1% in July. Economists were predicting only a 0.3% increase. The month included Amazon's Prime Day event and sales from its competitors and a rebound in auto sales.
This after reports this week showing inflation is slowing. President Biden says we're making progress, and today he'll be joined at an event in Maryland by his Democratic replacement in the White House race, Vice President Harris.
Today, the White House is going to be putting both she and the president front and center as they unveil their latest effort to lower Medicare drug prices. The event today here in the D.C. suburbs is not a campaign event, but tomorrow, Harris will be on the trail in battleground North Carolina, giving, as you mentioned, her first major economic policy speech since becoming the nominee.
That's Fox's Mark Meredith. The new Fox News poll shows more voters trust the vice president on abortion and health care and climate change. But when it comes to the economy, the number one issue to most, they trust former President Trump, who has a 1-point lead in the poll.
You're paying the price for Kamala's liberal extremism at the gas pump, at the grocery counter, and on your mortgage bill.
We just got word that Trump running mate J.D. Vance has agreed to debate Democratic VP nominee Tim Walz October 1st. A new round of talks is underway today trying to broker a ceasefire in Gaza, where Palestinian officials say Israel's war against Hamas has now killed 40,000 people. There's fallout to all the anti-Israel, pro-Palestinian protests on college campuses. Columbia's university's president has resigned, like leaders did earlier at Harvard and Penn. But Elisha Baker, a Jewish Columbia student, tells Fox more needs to change in the fall.
If there's no accountability,
then yeah, I am actually a little bit scared to go back onto campus because we saw what happened last spring.
America's listening to Fox News.
Rain showers and 68 degrees at 9:02 on AM 560, The Answer. And good morning, everyone. I'm Mike Scott. Arlington Heights fire officials say one person was hurt. 4 others were rescued when a fire broke out in the kitchen of a townhome late last night.
Report of several people trapped on the second floor balconies while we were en route. Buffalo Grove Tower 25 was able to throw an extension ladder up, and they did rescue 4 people off the second floor balcony that were stuck on their balcony.
Fire was struck quickly, and now building assessments are being done to get residents back into their homes. A man in critical condition after being pulled from Lake Michigan on the city's south side near 67th Street Beach. A 34-year-old man was rushed to a nearby hospital in critical condition. Illinois Democrats getting fired up for the Democrat National Convention next week.
When they come here next week from every state in the United States and all of the press from all over the world, you know what they're going to see? They're going to see a state where Democrats deliver.
Governor Pritzker and other Democrats rallied yesterday. Republicans will rally at the state fair later today. Chicago sports found the Cubs with just 5 hits in a 6-1 loss to Cleveland. And the White Sox were pounded by the Yankees 10-2. The news, a service of Crosscom Public Adjusters. If your home or business has an insurance claim, Crosscom will help you get what you need and have coming to you. They've helped thousands. CrosscomPublicAdjusters.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
When you go on vacation, does it make sense to have somebody else pack for you? Of course not. The same can be said for your retirement. Your 401k could be packed with things you don't know about or even need. If you're close to retirement, but you don't have a plan customized to your goals, it's like kind of taking a 30-year vacation with no idea what's in the suitcase. Sounds like a stressful way to begin what should be a relaxing time. Tom Fortino at Alpha Wealth Group can help you unpack your savings and build a plan to reduce future taxes, address Social Security and health care, and a whole lot more, all with a clear, defined income strategy. Call the Alpha Wealth Group at 630-934-1855. Ask for the complimentary retirement plan. That's 630-934-1855 or online at alphawealthgroup.com. And listen to the Alpha Wealth Hour Saturday mornings at 9 a.m. right here on AM 560.
Advisory services through Retirement Wealth Advisors, LLC, and SEC Registered Investment Advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Alpha Wealth Group, licensed in Illinois.
At 9:05, let's get an update on the roads. We'll start as we roll on the Edens inbound. We're watching delays. Foster to Montrose. The Kennedy, solid 80 minutes, an hour 20 from O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. You're jammed all the way in. Outbound on the Kennedy.